Good morning, guys. Good morning, guys. I think the show is facing a technological difficulties and we'll be joining soon. Thank you.
Very good morning. Can you all hear me now?
Yes, I can hear.
Yes, can hear.
Sinhala, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I can't hear you all.
Yes, I can hear.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Sinhala. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear. Yes.
All right. Now I also can hear you. Super. Oh gosh, finally. Sorry, guys, for the technical thing. Right. Give me 1 minute. Okay. Right, guys, actually the first in the sense your assignment is there. So let's take a look at the assignment. Then I will start the session because I have taken a couple of theories for you all to take a start on the assignment today, which is there even at the latter part of the syllabus. But since assignment, the task 1, you need a couple of theories. So I'll be discussing that today, which is easy for you all to do the assignment. So that is the objective. So you all can see the screen. Eh? Can't take off this update. Right. Let's. Okay. Did you all go through the assignment? Here the assignment. Time. That's okay. Even you have not read the assignment. But let's take from the beginning. Ready the assignment? Put that discuss karana ready the last thing. Udeb.
Yes, sir.
Okay, superb. PDS 04 Nissan okay, right. Okay. So it's like this scenario. You're started recording. Okay, good. Right. So it's like this. This assignment you all have to do throughout the syllabus. Make area එකකින් එන assignment එකක් නෙමෙයි. There are certain areas where we discuss at the latter part of the syllabus. There are certain areas where we discuss today. There are like that it goes, right? It's a continuous thing where you all have to submit the assignment on 25th June. 25th June. Today, 20th March, April, May, June. Okay, 3 months there. But remember, 3 months තිබ්බට මේ assignment එකේ කරන්න තියෙන වැඩ ප්‍රමාණය පොඩ්ඩක් වැඩි. I'm not saying වැඩ ප්‍රමාණය පොඩ්ඩක් වැඩි කියන එක, but I mean you all have to commit a bit to do this assignment because your involvement is should be pretty continuous to do this, right? ඉතින් ඒක මතක තියාගෙන අර අන්තිම මොහොතේ කරන්න යන්න එපා. Then you all will struggle to do. Make sure you start now itself and do slowly, and whatever the area you complete, send me, then I will check it and give you all the green light. After that, you all can keep it ready for final submission. Part by part කරගෙන යනකොට, then it will be easy for you all. It will be easy for you all. Syllabus එකේ part එක ඉවර කරනකොට ආයෙකට අදාළ area එක cover කරගෙන යනවා. So that is the whole objective of the assignment. And guys, the assignment, the content is mainly focusing on the strategy area. ඉතින් ඒ හින්දා ඕගොල්ලෝගේ අර practical inputs ඒ ටික ඔක්කොම ඕගොල්ලෝ implement කරන්න ඕනේ. theory ලියුවට වැඩක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. No point of just writing theories. How you really implement, I will guide you all how to do it. How you really implement those theories are the important part. Whatever the theory you learn, how you implement with whatever the company you have selected කියන එක තමයි මෙතන තියෙන්නේ. So let me take you all through each and every word in this assignment, right? Okay, with the KDC, this thing is there, brand strategy. Okay, so you are getting ready to do a brand strategy. You will not do the brand strategy, but you are getting ready to do the brand strategy. So look at this, agility and adaptability of a brand. Methanidi I mean, the entire assignment basically works along with this agility and the adaptability of the brand. When I went through the assignment, agility and the adaptability are highly focused area in this assignment in all the dimensions what we talk about in the brand. Right? එතකොට ඒ පැත්ත අපි හදාගෙන යන්න ඕනේ කියන එකත් ඒකත් ඔළුවේ තියාගෙන තමයි අපි යන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ brand strategy එකක් දාන්න නම් ඉස්සරහට, ඒ කියන්නේ brand strategy එකක් අලුතෙන් implement කරන්න නම්, හරි, එක්ක strategy එක change කරන්න නම් අපි current situation එකට අපිට agility එක සහ adaptability එක තියෙන්න ඕනේ. changes වලට adapt වෙන එක, changes වලට අපි adapt වෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ අනුගත වෙන එක. We identified it as matching the environmental factors without having a huge gap. Now, usually what happened, we identified brands are moving on, but the market is changing in a different pattern. We call it as a strategic drift. අපි මෙතන මේ gap එක අපි minimize කරන එක කරලා market එකේ condition එකට brand එක අරන් එන්න ඕනේ, right? ඔක තමයි අපි බලන්නේ. ඒක තමයි agility and adaptability කියලා කියන්නේ. So මෙතනදී agility and adaptability, now when we talk about it, it comes again along with the auditing part also, because if you are to agile your brand, right, react quickly and make sure you are complying whatever the conditions required by market. So if you are to agile your brand and if you are to adapt your brand, you have to change yourself quickly to the changes in the market. So that you got to identify, because there's a huge meaning behind these two words along with the brand. How agile you are, which means how quickly respond to changes, how adapt, how strongly you can adapt to these changes in the market. ඔය වචන දෙකේ ලොකු තේරුමක් තියෙනවා when it comes for branding. Just keep it in mind. Okay, the professional diploma in strategic brand management. Okay, PDSBM. This is that. Okay. One statement is there. If you don't give the market the story to talk about, they will define your brand story for you. Okay. So ඉතින් මෙතන ඒගොල්ලොන් දාලා තියෙනවා statement එකක් from David Blair. So it's true because you being a brand manager should create a story for the brand and not letting people to decide what your brand is all about, because it has a meaning here. Like, if you don't give a market the story to talk about, they define your brand's story for you, which means it is your responsibility. It is the responsibility of the brand manager. It is the responsibility of the brand owner to create a story for that particular brand. If not, what will happen? People will accept the brand the way they want. But now let's say as an example, okay, if BMW is not talk about the performance, the people will accept it in a where sometimes, okay, nice. I mean, it's designer car, or it can be basically I mean, okay, Volvo is talking about safety, but if Volvo is not talk about safety, they might also say it's not the luxury car only. So people will start creating their own meaning towards the brand. So it is basically the responsibility of the brand managers to create a meaning, the purpose, the personality, attitudes, culture, and all these things connected to the brand. So that is what the David Bray is talking about. Okay, so it has a meaning over there. Okay, your final examination June 2022 and the final submission, May assignment submission 25th June. So right after this, you will have to do a presentation also. And guys, remember, now you all have to do a presentation also from this. මේකෙන්ම තමයි ඔයගොල්ලෝගේ ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් එකත් යන්නේ. එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලොන් ඒකත් ඔළුවේ තියාගන්න හදනකොට මොකද whatever the area you complete, you get the presentation slides also up, then it will be easy for you all. එතකොට ඒකත් parallelly හදාගෙන යන්න. මොකද ඉවර කරන area එකට හදාලා presentation slides එකද දෙකද whatever, you keep it ready with you, because I mean that also something what you can do parallel to this because this is the same thing you have to present in Viva. Okay, so let's look at it. Okay, introduction. They have given in. Okay, the introduction is there. Introduction is there. Okay, let's read slowly. Let's read. Mama read karanna for y'all. Identify a company of your choice. Okay, you have to identify a company of your choice. I mean, they have not given a company, but you have to select a company of your choice. Okay, I mean, people, those who are working, take your own company, then you do something good for your company also, to see your company in a different angle. Now I can remove this. Wait. I'm trying to remove something from this screen. Can you all see a side bar here in the screen as audio switch bar? Can't remove this. Is it disturbing you all? No. Right. So see, identify a company of your choice and brands that are operating under the company. ඒ company එක select කරගන්න. ඒ company එක යටතේ වැඩ කරන brands උත් මොනවද කියලා idea එකක් අරගන්න. Okay, basically they ask you all to study the company and their brands. Okay, conduct a thorough study on the company. Conduct a thorough study on the company perspectives with relates to the knowledge of brand before starting the project. එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලන්ට company එක ගැන පොඩි idea එකක් අරගන්න වෙනවා. Especially when it comes to the branding side. This assignment is mainly focusing on the corporate brand, how the corporate brand, company as a brand, which you can agile, adapt based on the changes in the market. So, but that does not mean that you can forget individual product brands that are operating under company. ඒකත් බලන්න ඕනේ. ඉතින් ඒ හින්දා ඒව ගැන complete idea එකක් එක්ක තමයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ ගන්න. When you select the company, best thing to select a company where you can get much detail from the company, right? එතකොට company එකෙන් අපිට detail ගන්න පුළුවන් නම්, especially the people those who are from university වලින් ආපු කට්ටිය එහෙම පොඩ්ඩක් බලන්න company එකක් select කරගන්නකොට ඔයගොල්ලන්ට detail ගන්න පුළුවන් company එකක් නම් තමයි වඩා හොඳ, because then it is easy for you all to do the assignment. Okay, it is easy for you all to do the assignment. Right, let's read. තේරෙන්නේ නැති වෙයි සමහරවල්ලාට, but that is perfectly okay. But let's read the assignment. Provide 2-page description of the company covering following area. Now they're asking you all to do 2-page description. Don't exceed that. Right? I mean, they're asking 2-page description. ඒ කියන්නේ පැති දෙකක්. Right? කොළ දෙකයි. ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තියෙන්නේ company description එක යන්න. හැබැයි ඒක ඇතුලේ you all have to give straightforward answer. Straightforward answer. You have to mention the company name, which industry they are into. Let's say industry කියලා කියන්නේ දැන් අපි company එකක් ගත්තොත් ආසිරි medical කියලා. Hospitality, healthcare industry. Right? අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම let's say okay mega pharma, pharmaceutical industry, right? අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම let's say Sri Lanka telecommunication industry. So what is the industry? FMCG industry. As an example, if you take let's say what do you call Unilever, FMCG industry. Okay, so Keels, retail industry. So Cargill's, retail industry, you know. So commercial bank, the banking and finance industry. So like that, the industry. Identify. Type of the organization. Is it a manufacturing? Is it service oriented? Or is it a distribution, the logistic, you know? So what type of an organization? Size of the organization. Size in terms you can talk about employees, branch operations, the number of branches as an example. I mean, turnover, revenue, profit. All these things you can talk about size of the organization. In table you can talk about the financial employees la මෙච්චරක් ඉන්නවා, මෙච්චර factories ප්‍රමාණයක් තියෙනවා, මෙච්චර geographical areas වලට ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා. ඔය තමයි size of the organization. Okay, you need to have a complete idea about your organization what you are selecting. Competitors, right? Who are the competitors they are having? List down the competitors and identify, okay, what is their share against your share, right? Now, supermarket, retail, modern trade retailing industry, okay, you can talk about if you have taken one of those companies. What is I mean, if you have selected Keels, right? What about the competitor market share? What about the competitor number of? Don't just write the names. මෙතන ඒක නෙමෙයි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ. මෙතන පොඩි table එකක් දානවා, right? Okay. Keels supermarkets මෙච්චරයි. Revenue එක මෙච්චරයි. Cargill supermarkets මෙච්චරයි, revenue එක මෙච්චරයි. Apico supermarkets මෙච්චරයි, revenue එක මෙච්චරයි. ඔය වගේ පොඩි detail ටිකක් දාන තමයි මෙතන බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ competitors ලා කවුද කියලා general idea එක. Main segments, main market segment. You don't have to do a comprehensive analysis on the segment. You can straight away say, okay, these are the markets they are targeting at. කියලා වල ඒක explain කරන්න ඕනේ. And the financials of the business. And the financials of the business. එතකොට financials of the business ඔයගොල්ලෝ කතා කරද්දී okay, revenue, profit. You can talk about whatever the financial perspectives like, okay, certain ratios you can talk about. Net profit ratios, creditors ratios, debtors ratios. So again, podi financials ටිකක් ඒ company එකේ. I mean, it is easy for you all to find a good company and an annual report. ඒ annual report එකක් අරගත්තොත් ඕගොල්ලන්ට Colombo Stock Exchange එකට ගිහිල්ලා ඉවරලා ඕගොල්ලන් select කරගත්ත company එකක තියෙනවා නම් ඒකෙන් annual reports download කරන්න පුළුවන්. csc.lk නේ. Colombo Stock Exchange එකට ගියා. එතකොට ඒකෙන් අරගත්තොත් එතන ඒකේ financials එහෙමත් තියෙනවා. So take a good company where you can study a comprehensive where you can do a comprehensive analysis. ඒක තමයි purpose එක. එතකොට මේක කොළ දෙකයි මේ task 1 part 1 කරන්න තියෙන company එක ගැන introduction එකක් තමයි ඕගොල්ලන්ට දෙන්න තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට දැන් company ගැන introduction එකක් දෙනකොට එතකොට company එකේ ඉන්න stakeholders ලා okay here you talk about main segment stakeholder summary right කවුද stakeholders ලා කියන එක. So this actually the stakeholder analysis we are taking at the latter part, but today I'm talking about two models. මේ part එක ඉවර කරන්න ඕනේ හින්දා මම models දෙකක් අද කතා කරනවා මේ additionally අරගෙන. So stakeholders ලා කවුද, who are the people connected with the organization කියන එක අපි summary එකේ table එකක් අරගෙන හරි whatever the model using whatever the models we have to show them, you know. So that part we need to talk about. So this is an area where you need to finalize the company properly. මොකද මෙතනදී select කරගන්න company එක අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම especially work කරන්නේ නැති කට්ටිය select කරගන්න publicly known company එකක් work කරන කට්ටිය select කරගන්න තමන්ගේ own company එක තමයි මම recommend කරන්නේ. One thing you're doing something good to your company and it is easy for you to find details, then you can talk with a sense. මොකද especially Viva වලදී ඔයගොල්ලන්ට defend කරන්න පුළුවන් because ඔයගොල්ලෝ ගාව details තියෙනවා. තමන්ම වැඩ කරන company එක වුණොත් එතන ලොකු advantage එකක් තියෙනවා. අනිත් කට්ටියට prepare වෙන්න වෙනවා. Viva වලදී සමහර වෙලාවට මොකද it's a strategic management diploma, sometimes okay they might not limit to ඒකෙන් අදහස් වෙන්නේ ගොඩක් deviate වෙනවා ඒකේදී වල they might not limit to your presentation slides. They might ask here and there general questions also, so better you select a company where you can find more details කියන එක තමයි මම repeating. So task 1 part 1 ඔයගොල්ලන්ට clearද මොකක්ද කරන්න දෙන. Don't worry about the theory part. Stakeholder analysis එකේ models කීපයක් තියෙනවා මම ඒගොල්ලන්ට අද කියලා දෙන්නම්. ඒ දෙක use කරන්න පුළුවන්. මේක පුළුවන් තරම් ඕගොල්ලෝ කරන්න ඕනේ tables use කරන්න, graphs use කරන්න, company ලොකු මේ history ලියන්න යන්න එපා මෙතන. right company ගැන පොඩි පේලි 3-4ක introduction එකක් දෙන්න. right website එක පවා මොකක්ද කියලා ඉවලා පොඩි clip එකක් දෙන්න. මේ clip එකක් ඕනේ නැත්නම් website එක මොකක්ද කියලා දාන්න. If the examiner need he might go to the website even and see. right company එක ගැන detail ටික තමයි pages දෙකකින් ඕගොල්ලන්ට මෙතන දෙන්න තියෙන්නේ. Any question, anyone is having any question other than theory part, stakeholder theory part එක අර computer analysis එකත් මම කියන්නම් කොහොමද කරන්න කියලා anyway. But other than that, any question, task 1 part 1 මොනවා හරි questions තියෙනවද? Perfectly okay, right? Don't worry. මම green light එක දුන්නාට පස්සේ තමයි ඔයගොල්ලන්ට submit කරන්න වෙන්නේ. මොකද I'll be checking the assignment throughout. I'll be checking the assignment throughout. So green light එක දුන්නාට පස්සේ තමයි ඔයගොල්ලන්ට submit කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. Any questions? Task 1 part 1 company එක select කරගන්න එකේ challenge එකක් තියෙනවද? You all have any concern in selecting the company? I can remember there are two from same company if I'm not mistaken. Perfectly okay selecting the same company. You have no issue at all, but make sure you are independent work. මොකද ගිය පාර අපි ගත්ත not the PDSBM sales management එකේ ළමයි 300 ගාණක් ඉඳලත් copied assignments අහු වුණා. ඉතින් ඒක මේවා කරන්න do එකම company එක select කරනවා. දෙන්න එකට වාඩි වෙලා වැඩේ කරත් කමන්නේ. but writing වලදී වෙන වෙනම ලියන්න. මොකද ඒක ලොකු ඒක match කරන්න යන්න එපා. මොකද company එක එකම දේ එකම විදියට ලිව්වයි කියලා කිසි issue එකක් නැහැ. නමුත් අර writing styles වලදී පවා එතන ටිකක් තියෙනවා. So do like that. Any question on the first one? Anyone is having any questions on the first one? Okay. Completely ඉවර කරලා ඉවරලා මම මේ stakeholder analysis segmentation personality ටිකට එන්නම්, don't worry. the personality එහෙම තියෙන්නේ අපිට පස්සේ, but අද positioning ටික අද කතා කරන අද slide වල තියෙන positioning area එක. Can't have this. Okay. Then the part task 1 part 2. Task 1 part 2. Identify the present present organization's brand positioning approach. Then මෙතන බලන්න organization's brand positioning approach. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙතන individual product එකක brand positioning approach එක නෙමෙයි අහන්නේ. That we need to identify. Now, if you are taking Unilever, under Unilever, there are many brands. Ne? They are not asking about those. They are asking about organization's brand. Then make අපි identify කරගන්න ඕනේ. Right? Make අපි identify කරගන්න ඕනේ. Okay, organization brand එක කියලා කොහොම corporate brand එක ගැන මේ කතා කරන්නේ. Okay? Entire organization. Unilever has one company, Nestle has one company, Softlogic has one company, John Keels has one company. කියන එක. එතන මේක ප්‍රූව් කරන්න අපි මොඩල්ස් කීපයක්කින් අපි ඇනලයිස් කරනවා මේක ගැන කතා කරනකොට. brand positioning කතා කරනකොට. Okay? Identify the present brand positioning approach. ඒ කියන්නේ current brand positioning approach we need to identify. So to do that, we need to analyze the current brand positioning approach using whatever the parameters. Maybe the profitability, maybe sometimes the image, maybe by looking at the culture, maybe by looking at, okay, equity, you know, I mean, those parameters are there. So by looking at them, we are going to analyze the current condition of the organization's brand, what you have selected. Okay, along with key attributes of business, key attributes of the business. Now we are talking about current positioning statement, key attributes of the business. Now we need to look at key attributes of the business. So what are the functional things, right? Business is having. And personality of the brand using theories. Okay, personality of the brand. Now look at the theory areas. Okay, now identify the organization brand positioning. This is brand positioning is a theory area. Okay, along with attributes, the key attributes of brand. Then again, it's a theory area. Then the brand personality of brand is a theory area, right? එතකොට මෙන්න මේ theory areas අපි strong වෙන්න ඕනේ මේක analyze කරනකොට. If we don't know what is personality, if we don't know what is differentiation, okay, let's say the key attributes, if we don't know what is positioning, so it is difficult for us to I mean, do the brand positioning analysis. It is difficult for us to do analyze the key attributes. It is difficult for us to analyze the personality. මේ ටික දැනගන්න ඕනේ. මේ ටික දැනගන්න නැතුව අපිට මේ ටික analysis එක කරන්න. මොකද what we are going to do, we are going to analyze the existing organization's brand name. John Keels නම් John Keels එකේ personality එක. John Keels දැන් කොහොමද position කරලා තියෙන්නේ? John Keels දැන් කොහොමද attributes ටික ඒකේ තියෙන attributes, the features and the attributes මොනවද? එයාගේ personality එක John Keels කිව්වම මොන personality එකද තියෙන්නේ? So like that. So cinnamon red කිව්වහම මොන personality? Cinnamon brands කිව්වම මොන personality එකද තියෙන්නේ? So like that. So Kingsbury කිව්වහම මොන personality එකද? ගලදාරි කිව්වහම what is the personality you are talking? So you got to have an idea about Nike කිව්වහම what type of a personality? Volvo කිව්වහම what type of a personality you are talking? So like that you got to have an idea about it, you know. So ඔන්න ඔය ideas ටික අතුව තමයි අපිට analysis එකකට යන්න පුළුවන්. Otherwise we will not be able to go on an analysis to do this. So මේ task 1 එක අපි ගත්තොත් මෙතන ඉඳන් අපි කතා කරපු task 1 එක අපි ගත්තොත් මේ task 1 එක to cover this task 1, these are the subject areas we need to know. මෙන්න මේ subject areas වලින් තමයි අපි task 1 එක cover කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. මෙතන you all can see this key subject area for task 1. Stakeholder analysis will be doing. Competence analysis today will be doing. Segmentation, the knowledge in segmentation, that also at the latter part. Not latter, actually, the mid of the syllabus. Brand personality, brand positioning, brand attributes. So these are the areas you all should know to cover the task 1 of the assignment. හරිද? එතකොට ඕක තමයි task 1 එකේ coverage එක එන්නේ. Other than the theory, forget about the theory. Theory අපි තාම කරේ නැති ඒවා තියෙන හින්දා. Did you get the idea of what you have to do? Did you get an idea of what you have to do? Anyone is having any question on that? මට තේරුන්නේ නැහැ මේක මොකද්ද කරන්න තියෙන කියලා. යා කමේෂි? You have any concern?
It's clear for me, sir.
Huh?
It's clear for me, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Anuja, what about you? Anuja, then Nisansala, Chandana, 04. Chandana, you are okay?
Yeah, I got the idea.
Okay. Nisansala. Nisansala Kalupahana, are you okay?
Okay.
Okay. Anuja.
Okay, sir.
04, I don't know your name. 06.
Sir, good morning.
What is your name, by the way?
I'm Dulaj.
Dulaj. Okay, super. All right. So you got an idea. Okay. Samadhi, you got an idea? Sorry.
Yes.
Samadhi, are you okay? Clear?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Right. So let's move on. Let's move on with task 2 then. Okay, මේ screen එකේ දකුණු පැත්තේ audio setting එකක් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා. I can't minimize it. Oh, shit. Minimize it. Done. Oops. Done. Okay. Right. Now we'll look at the task 2. Look at this. Now, this is the introduction actually. Now, here in this page, start with brand identity and image for reputation. Okay. Now, 2 keywords: identity, image. For what? The reputation. May areas ටිකට theories ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. අපි identity ගත්තොත් one of the main model we identified as the Capfer's model, identity prism එක කියලා අපි ඉගෙන ගන්නවා එකක්. So that one. Image, there are many models what we are talking about with the brand image. So task 2 එක base වෙන්නේ mainly identity and image focus karagena, which is focusing on the reputation. I think the reputation part comes at the final. Task 2 and 3 mainly on the reputation and this. And task 3 ek focus wenne brand planning. Okay, brand planning saha and measuring performance, effectiveness measure karna tools walta. Okay, before we go to task 3, we'll work on task 2. Task 2, okay, get idea. Brand identity and image for reputation. Reputation, you know, I mean, like, okay, we always talk about we need to maintain our reputation, our credibility, our trust, you know. So those things we need to maintain with the company. If you have a very good reputation, people will attracted towards our brand. If our brand doesn't have a good reputation, people will reject our brand. If our brand does not have a proper image in their mindset, so they will not attracted towards the brand. So all these identity and image, recognition, right? Attraction towards the brand, how liking towards the brand, how preference towards the brand. All these things are connected with finally the reputation, how long you have been there in the market. So all these things, right? Many elements connected with the reputation of the brand. So මෙන්න මේවා තමයි key points මෙන්න මේ task 2 වලදී බලන. When you answer මේ දැන් ඕගොල්ලෝ answer කරනකොට question එක ඕගොල්ලෝගේ writing ඇතුලේ your inside your answer, right? You all need to show, okay, this effort is focusing on building image, building identity and the reputation කියන එක කියවෙන්න ඕනේ. නිකන් theory එක ලියලා හරියන්නේ නැහැ. Again I'm repeating. නිකන් theory එක ලියලා හරියන්නේ නැහැ. Okay, let's read the task 2. Let's read the task 2. I'm taking bit of a time here. මොකද this is one of the main evaluation. මොකද මේක connect වෙන ඕගොල්ලෝගේ assignment, sorry, viva එකටත්. So listen. Task 2. Assess the existing corporate brand image. Now look at මෙතන අපි කතා කරා identify the corporate brand positioning. Right? Present brand positioning. දැන් මේ කතා කරනවා present brand image එක ගැන. Assess the existing corporate brand identity and images, right? Which helps the target market to recognize the company, which helps to build the reputation of the business. Business එකේ reputation එක build වෙන්නේ organization එක හඳුනා ගන්න විදියයි organization එකේ image එකයි අනුව තමයි. So first thing you got to do, using whatever the metrics you study, you have to take your company, what you have selected, into those metrics and show whether this company is having a proper image inside the market, right? Whether this image is a market-oriented image, whether they have a unique identity. What is the unique selling proposition of the entire business? What is the differentiation they are trying to bring into it, right? Whether it is a cost-driven, value-driven, hybrid, whatever you name it, right? What type of an identity you are talking about? Is it a feature-based? Is it a design? Is it relationship? Is it culture kind of a thing? So what type of an identity? So existing identity, you all have to measure. Existing image, you all have to measure using whatever the tools you study, right? Capfer identity prism එක දානවා තෝරගත්ත company එකට. එහෙනම් Capfer's brand identity prism එක දාලිවලා කියනවා මේ දේවල් ටික අනුව මේ company එකේ identity එක මේ විදිහට තමයි මේගොල්ලෝ market එකට දෙන්නේ. Then you look at the image models. So then you look at, okay, company is trying to create an identity, unique identity, but image is different. අපි හිතමු different කියලා, let's say as an example it is different. Now then අපි කියනවා Nike පුළුවන් තරම් මේ කියන්නේ එක sports brand එකක්. Okay, Nike is talking about, okay, every individual who get out from their couch and start jogging with a pair of Nike is a sports personality, right? So but our people wear that even for classes, even for, you know, casual friends meet up and all these things. So I mean, okay, Sri Lankan context, the Asian Sri Lankan context, they don't target heavily, but when you look at the image and the identity, the Nike is trying to create something, but image is premium, luxury and all these things in here in Sri Lanka, you know. So that is because of the price and all these things. Okay, a brand image which is there pasted in the international trade. Then to build the image, brand attributes, brand culture, brand personality, right? Brand attitudes. ඔය කොහොම දේවල් connect වෙනවා. ඉතින් ඒ අනුව තමයි image එක හැදෙන්නේ. So we need to study that particular area. Don't worry, we will be having few theories there. So we will be discussing when we cover identity and image area. Then task 2 part 2. Okay. visualize the existing emotional values and the functional values. මේ emotional values, functional values අපි අද කතා කරනවා. Right? එතකොට ඕගොල්ලෝ කම්පැනි එක සිලෙක්ට් කරගත්තා නම් ඕගොල්ලන්ට කියන්න පුළුවන් මේ මම සිලෙක්ට් කරගත්ත කම්පැනි එකේ මොනවද emotional values? Company brand එකේ. What are the functional values? So visualize the existing emotional values of corporate brand that will enhance the corporate brand equity. So brand equity is another term, right? Brand equity එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ brand එකේ value එක, right? You can sell the brand. It has a financial value. It's not okay selling a bottle of Coke. No, I mean, it's the product. I mean to say, let's say if I need to buy the brand, so what is the equity? I mean, the financial value I have to pay. So that is the equity of the brand. So that comes with so many things. The history of the brand, how we evolve the brand over a period, how basically market is having experience along with the brand, how many clients are there in for the brand, and how strong they are against their competitor. ඔය ඔක්කොම එකහොල තමයි equity එක හැදෙන්නේ. brand එකේ equity එක හැදෙන්නේ. ඉතින් ඒක මේ functional and emotional value combination එක කොහොමද brand equity එකට බලපාන්නේ කියලා. Because when you are developing a brand, you talk about these major two dimensions, the functional and the emotional value, which we'll be doing today. Don't worry. So that area මේක කරාට පස්සේ අපිට පුළුවන් ඒ part එකත් cover කරන්න. මේ හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න guys, මේ හැම එකකටම ඕගොල්ලෝ පොඩි notes හදලා ඒ notes complete කරලා content structure එක හදාගත්තට පස්සේ notes ටික complete කරලා ඒක structure එකක් විදිහට තියාගන්න. එතකොට හරි ලේසි අන්තිමට ඕගොල්ලන්ට තියෙන්නේ 20th June වගේ ඔක්කොම ටික compile කරලා හරි විදිහට cover pages ඒ ටික දාලා. So you all have a different formatting guidelines. ඒ ටික ඕගොල්ලන්ට share වෙයි, don't worry. So ඒ විදිහට දාලා ඕගොල්ලන්ට මේ submission එක කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. So it is easy in that case. So task 2 එකේ mainly කතා කරන්නේ emotional and the functional values and how that emotional and the functional values affect for the brand equity. brand එකේ value එක වැඩි කරන්න, brand එකේ equity එක වැඩි කරන්න එක බලපාන විදිය. So task 2 එකට ඕන කරන theory areas තමයි corporate versus product branding, right? Make a unique අපි identify කරගන්න, because otherwise you might go behind the product brand. So we are talking about the corporate brand here. So you need to know the difference between these two. But that does not mean product brand is neglected. No. I mean, because of the product brand, sometimes a company corporate brands might move on. So you need to identify that. So brand identity and image, another two theory areas, as I said. And functional and emotional values, another theory area, and reputation is another theory area. Another theory area in the sense, okay, I mean, all these things are finally boils to the reputation of the company and the equity of the company, right? Company ke reputation එක equity එකටයි තමයි මේ හැම දෙයක්ම finally බලපාන්නේ. So did you get an idea? Don't worry about theory, I'm again telling you. මේකේ කරන්න තියෙන්නේ මොකක්ද කියන එකේ idea එකක් ආවද? Any question?
Yes, I got that.
Okay, good. Anyone is having any questions? Then we are coming into the final one, brand planning and measuring performance. මෙතනත් අපි ගොඩාක් වෙලාවට metrics කතා කරනවා, right? The different tools, the measurement tools and all these things. So brand planning එකක් කරන්න අපි plan එක කරන්න අපි auditing එකකට යන්න ඕනේ. So auditing area is there. So then a audit එක කරලා brand එක brand එක plan කරලා launch කරාට පස්සේ අපි ඒක measure කරන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා performance measurements වලට යන්නේ කොහොමද කියන එක තමයි අනිත් එක. So let's read. එතකොට අපි මේ වෙනකොට කතා කරා task 1 and 2 company එක introduction company එක identify කරගත්තා. company එකේ current positioning condition එක කොහොමද කියන එක කතා කරගත්තා. present personality එක කොහොමද කියන එක කතා කරගත්තා. එතකොට current image එක, current identity එක මොනවද functional values, emotional values කියන එක අපි identify කරගත්තා. දැන් අපි යනවා final other auditing areas world. Okay. So outline the factors and dimensions to be addressed in comprehensive brand audit. Guys, මෙතන කියන්නේ ඒගොල්ලෝ outline කරන්නයි කියලා. එතන මෙතන ඒගොල්ලෝ කියනවා outline the factors and the dimensions to be addressed in a comprehensive brand audit covering metrics to be used in the audit. දැන් මෙතන ඕගොල්ලන්ට ඔය සිලෙක්ට් කරගත්ත කම්පැනි එකට ඔඩිට් එක කරන්නයි කියලා නෑ. Right? Why? If you really look at some of the areas you are already audited. You have already audited. Brand positioning, current positioning, current attributes, current personality. You have already audited. Okay. Existing corporate image identity you have already audited. මේ existing එක අපි analyze කරනවා කියලා කියන අපි audit කරලම already. Okay. So existing visualize the existing emotional values, functional values අපි identify කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ ඒකෙත් auditing වල part එකක්. Right? එතකොට මෙතන කියන්නේ comprehensive audit එකක outline එක ගන්නයි කියලා. මේ audit එක දැන් මෙතන අපි කතා කරපු දේවල් වලට අමතරව දැන් අපි කතා කරේ නැහැ මෙතන financial audits අපි කතා කරේ නැහැ. Financial audit does not mean the year end අර මේ කරන audit එක නෙමෙයි මම brand එකක අපි financial related audits කතා කරේ නැහැ. brand එකක අපි මේ තව කතා කරන්න තියෙන areas අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම growth related factors ඒවා අපි කතා කරේ නැහැ. Right? So මෙතන මේගොල්ලෝ කියන්නේ now they are asking outline the factors and dimensions to be addressed in a comprehensive brand. එතකොට brand audit එකක් outline කරන එකයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඔතන කරන්නේ. මොනවද? brand මොනවද අපි analyze කරන්නේ? environmental audit එක අපි කරනවා brand audit එකක් කරනකොට we talk about. Previously we were not talking about. We need to talk about the environmental audit. We need to talk about macroeconomic environmental audit, microeconomic environmental audit, then the resource based analysis we need to do. So ඔන්න ඔය දේවල් ටික අපි ගත්තොත් එම risk analysis we need to do value chain analysis, we need to do differentiation analysis, we need to do so many models are there where we need to analyze. එතකොට ඒ tools ටිකත් එක්ක අපි comprehensive audit එක outline එක ගන්න එක තමයි කරන්නේ. ඒතර අපි කියන right when you do this area so we need to audit internally we need to audit resources, capacities, competencies. Right? So externally we need to audit these areas. So I mean then we need to come up with the audit summary. Then we need to go into preparing objectives for planning. එතනින් එහාට ස්ට්‍රැටජි කතා කරන්න නෑ ඔයගොල්ලන්ට. ඔඩිටිං එක කරන විදිය කවර් කරන ඒරියාස් ටික ඔක්කොම අවුට්ලයින් කරලා ඔබ්ජෙක්ටිව් එකට එනකන් you can talk about strategies හදන්න. ඒතර ටාස්ක් 1 එකේ තියෙන අවුට්ලයින් කරන්න. අවුට්ලයින් කරන්න. දැන් අපි මෙතන කතා කරපු නැති ඒරියාස් ටිකට උඩ ටාස්ක් 1 ටාස්ක් 2 කතා කරපු නැති ඒරියාස් සුත් ඇඩ් කරලා comprehensive audit එක outline කරන්න තියෙනවා. So that is actually we are having at the latter part. I think if I'm not mistaken the module 3 hari 4 hari තමයි ඒක තියෙන්නේ. So we'll be discussing there. And then identify measures that can be taken to evaluate the performance. Then again, you are talking about measuring brand performance. So there we talk about, okay, if the brand is already in the market, okay, now we did do a comprehensive audit and we have created objectives and released the market at whatever the strategies. But here we are looking at how are we going to measure the performance. අපි මේ බ්‍රෑන්ඩ් එක එළියට දැම්මට පස්සේ මේ බ්‍රෑන්ඩ් එක කොච්චර ඉෆෙක්ටිව්ලි යනවද නැද්ද කියන එක how are we going to measure? ඔතනදී තමයි තවත් tools එන්නේ. Right? Strategic tools අපි use කරනවා. එක එක dimensions base කරලා brand එක දිහා බලනවා. Profitability dimensions, loyalty dimensions දිහා බලලා අපි brand එක position කරනවා. Right? Cultural dimensions බලලා අපි brand එක position කරනවා. එතකොට ඒ tools අපි use කරලා brand එක දැන් කොතනද තියෙන්නේ කියන එකට එනවා. ඔක තමයි අපි brand performance measurement එකට එන්නේ, that also at your the latter part of your syllabus. Let me see your syllabus. It's there in your LMS anyway. Let me see. Okay, your brand positioning strategically අපි කතා කරනවා module 2 එකේ planning and implementing brand marketing program. Okay, no. Measuring brand performance module 4 වල අපි කතා කරනවා. Then yeah, auditing the brand sphere එන්නේ අපි module 3 එකේ. ඒ කියන්නේ somewhere in end of April first week of May වගේ තමයි auditing part එකට අපිට එන්න වෙන්නේ. So එතකන් අපිට අනිත් ඒවා ටික auditing and performance එන්න වෙන්නේ end of April වල ඉඳලා තමයි. But එතකන් අනිත් ඒවා ටික අපිට කරගෙන යන්න පුළුවන්. එතන issue එකක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Task 1 and 2 we can slowly complete by end of April. So any question related to that assignment? මෙහෙමයි assignment එක කරනකොට එන ප්‍රශ්න නෙමෙයි මම කියන්නේ. Assignment එක පැහැදිලිද කියන එක. එච්චරයි අපිට තියෙන assignment එක. Yes, those are the 3 pages. මොනවා හරි අපැහැදිලි තැනක් තියෙනවද assignment එකේ? Anyone is having any area which is not clear? Okay, superb. Right, done. So make a formatting guidelines sticker. I think the assignment formatting guidelines are there in your LMS. Sinhala etike LMS එකේ තියෙනව නේද? Formatting guidelines.
Yes, so they're there.
They are there නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ assignment okay guideline. Give me 1 minute. Okay, guys, let me show you all this also. When you go to LMS, LMS එකේ තියෙනවා formatting guidelines sticker, right? Let me show you all this. When you go to LMS, in your LMS here, when you go to your LMS here, student guideline for assignment submission කියන එක, don't worry about dates, but your formatting guidelines වෙනම දීලා තියෙනවා. Body text එක කොහොමද එන්නේ, right? Headings කොහොමද, page setups කොහොමද එන්නේ, student number එක ඒ ටික කොහොමද එන්නේ, එතකොට word count එක කොහොමද එන්නේ, ඒ ඔක්කොම guidelines ටික දීලා තියෙනවා. So make sure you stick to those guidelines. The page A4 ඒ ටික, assignment topic එක, right? මේ cover page එක. Cover page එක එන්න ඕනේ කොහොමද? එතකොට student declaration එකට guideline එක දීලා තියෙනවා, මේ samples දීලා තියෙනවා. So මේ ටික දීලා තියෙනවා. මේවා මෙහෙමයි, it won't take much time for you all to format it. So You all can do, but before you submit, you need to make sure that you format it in a way where you focus on this formatting guidelines, right? Even the page setup and everything, word count especially. And your assignment is having 2,500 word counts, my dear, right? එතකොට දැන් question එක තියෙන introduction එකට අර company introduction එකට එන එක 2500 වලට. company introduction වලට words 500 වලට එහා use කරන්න එපා. Make sure you are using only 500 words for company introduction, not more than that. උදාර pages දෙක එකයි කියන්නේ table formats ඒ ටික ගියාට පස්සේ එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලන්ට ගානට idea එකක් අරගන්න පුළුවන් කොහොමද කරන්න කියලා. I will guide you all, don't worry. So මේ assignment guidelines ටික තියෙනවා LMS එක, you refer that also. final මොකද assignment guidelines maintain කරේ නැත්නම් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට ලකුණු 10ක් වගේ assignment guidelines වලින් හම්බ වෙනවා. So that you will lose that. ඒක මේව කරගන්න එපා. ඔක finally අපි format කරන්න ගන්නේ, but make sure remember to stick to those guidelines. Okay. Dulaj, you're from which company? You were not there, I guess, last week.
Hello, sir.
You're from which company, Dulaj?
Yeah, I'm working with my friend where we both start up recently.
Oh.
Digital marketing, not working. We both start that company.
What is the company?
It's called Moon Talks, digital marketing and social media marketing.
Okay. Good. Your own business, right? Finally, that is where you all have to go. Have to have your own business. I mean, like, it's really good to have some kind of a backup. Even, I mean, I'm not saying most of the people bit against on this. If you are not conflicting with your organization where you are currently working, having a backup is perfectly okay. But run it nicely. Now, let's say, as example, if you are working in a pharmaceutical, don't start a pharmacy kind of a thing. But you might do something else which is not conflict of interest to the business where you are working. And the other thing, you shouldn't but you can't allocate your office time for that. That is unethical, right? You need to have some kind of additional income and additional revenue, and if you have your own organization to run, but you can't allocate your time where you earn a continuous salary, right? Monthly salary. That time you can't allocate for your business. So having your own business is the best thing, right? In long run, whatever said and done, guys, it's like this, no? You might be a company director after 60, okay? As one thing, as per the labor law in the country, now it has gone, if I'm not mistaken, 62 or 63, because very recently I got to know the people who are working from government departments and the boards, especially the water board, electricity board, retirement is extended to 62. ඒ මොනවා වුණත් private sector එකක වුණත්, okay, the reason is you will have to move out. So what about you might say, okay, I am okay with my EPF, ETF. Okay, if you have collected some sort of assets where you can restart your thing, of course, okay. If not, if you have a business where you have established small scale now, right? Because it takes about 5-6 years for a company to survive. And if you, for the first 5 years is pretty challenging for a company. First 5 years survival innawai කියලා කියන්නේ company can turn the coin. So අවුරුදු 5 I'm talking as an SME, not as a multinational huge investment kind of a thing. But for the first 5 years, challenging. You might not know about the market. You also struggling, financially struggling. ටික දුරක් යනවා නවත්තනවා ආයි බෑ කියලා එනවා. So ආයි යනවා ආයි ටික දවසක් යනකොට අපරාධි මම මේක නැවැත්තුවේ කියලා ආයි පටන් ගන්නවා. So things are happening like that. So, but when you start, right, and make it for about couple of years and make it stronger, and try to start, because you can register a company, and don't do without registering one, right? So you can register a company. You don't need to go into a private limited registration. If so, it is good in one way, but if not, you can do based on the Business Name Registration Ordinance Act in 1979, that you can register the name that is at divisional secretary office එකෙන් කරගන්න පුළුවන් registration එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒක කරලා ඉවරලා you can run it as a business. ඉතින් අර බලන්න. ඉතින් I'm not saying for you all to do it, but it's a good thing. Good thing to be on your own. But remember, it is pretty challenging. දැන් මම branding කතා කරන්න වෙලා මේ වෙන subject එකක් කතා කරනවා. It's pretty challenging. One thing, අපි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට අපි මාකට් එකේ දැකලා තියෙනවා ගොඩාක් කට්ටිය entrepreneurship කියලා ලොකු දේවල් ලොකු luxury life එකක් මවනවා. It's not like that. මාසේ අන්තිමට පඩි ටික සෙට් මිනිස්සුන්ට ගෙවන්න තියෙන පඩි ටික සෙට් වෙනකොට තමයි තේරෙන්නේ oh my goodness කොච්චර headache එකක් ඔලුවට තියෙනවද කියන එක. It's not easy, right? But ඒ challenge එකක් ගන්න තියෙනවනේ. මොකද ups and downs තියෙනවා. ඒ ups and downs එක strongly අදන් යන්න පුළුවන් නේ. වැටෙන financially company එක වැටෙන්න ගත්තාම අපි වැටලා හරියන්නේ නැහැ. Right, අපි දැකලා තියෙනවා even sometimes the sales when we are talking to companies, right? So when we are talking to sales people, sales අඩු වෙච්ච ගමන් mentally වැටෙනවා sales කරන එක්කෙනා. Right? I mean, we should be stronger. වැටුණා can't help, but what is the strategy to come up? Right? අර strategy එකක් නැතුව අර මුකුත් කල්පනා කරන්න නැතුව ඉන්නවයි කියන එක තමයි challenge එක. Even the brand is the same. There are enough and more brands. Now look at, I will tell you all very recent example, right? Now, I mean, okay, you look at the DCD issue, if you all can remember, which faced by Anchor. Okay, now they were having an issue, no? But they came up again. No? So, I mean, you need to have a strategy to come up. If not, it's very difficult. Now look at the rejections the companies were getting from society for certain other nutritional level of products, especially the food items. ඔයගොල්ලන්ට මතක නම් අර palm oil මේක. But certain brands again came up, right? Revitalized, rejuvenated, right? Again came up, right? So you need to have a strategy like that. So the brand rejuvenation, brand revitalization කියලා කියන්නේ අපි ඔන්න ඔතනදී අපි ඒව කතා කරනවා අපි latter part එකේදී. So corporate brand එකකදී ඔයව ටික තියෙන්න ඕන. Right? Corporate brand එකකදී ඒ ටික තියෙන්න ඕනේ. So it's pretty challenging to maintain the corporate brand, but it's really good. It's really good. Okay. So let's move on. Let's move on with the today's area. Let's move on with the today's area. Right. Okay. We do have here your assignment 2,500 words. Huh? Api kata kara last week we were talking about up to this point we were talking about last week, I guess. Yeah, product versus brand we were talking about last week. Then we stopped from the emotional values and the functional values. So let me revise what we were talking about so far, right? So we identified initially the evolution of branding we were talking about, and we were talking about how customer simply look at the term brand and the branding we identified, right? So then we identified different, I mean, historical perspectives, how the name evolved and how different people, especially American Marketing Association, how they have defined the term brand, and historical perspectives and how different brands basically operate in the market we were talking about. Then we were talking about a few different management gurus, the brand management gurus, how they see this, the term branding. Then we identified a couple of brands and their history, right? We were talking about. Then we identified, I mean, brand naming approaches, how people have used their own name for branding, how Cadbury, basically the John Cadbury have used his name. Okay, so why the brand is so important we were talking about, and why it matters, we continued with that, and we were talking about the risk factors, right, which can come in, which can basically minimize in a brand. So all these things we were talking about, right? Then only we started talking about the product versus brand. Product එකයි brand එකයි වෙනස් කරලා අපි identify කරගන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා ඊට පස්සේ අපි identify කරගත්තා. Then today we'll be looking at the two major dimensions what we talk about. මම හිතනවා ඕගොල්ලෝ මේක කියවන්න නැති කියලා. Guys මේවා කියවන්න. So these things are important for your assignments, right? මෙන්න මේ articles දීලා තියෙන links කියවන්න because these things are important for your assignment. So today we will be looking at the another two areas, so called the emotional and the functional value of the brand. So hope you all can see the slide. Slide එක පේනවද නේ? Right, guys, it's like this, right? Now, Chanetani at the very first time, the Leslie Chanetani at the very first time came up with the concept of emotional and the functional value of branding. In fact, it's like this now. When you're developing a brand, as Chanetani is the professor, is a professor in brand management, mentioned you got to focus on two areas. You got to focus on two areas. Now, the two main areas he is focusing on the emotional value of a brand, which is directly connected with your heart and mind, right? And the other one is the functional value of your brand. Functional component, so-called the mechanistic value of your brand. Tangible value of your brand. The emotional කියලා කිව්වම අපි කියනවා psychological perspectives of a brand කියලා. Functional value of a brand කියලා කියන්නේ mechanistic value of the brand. Attributes of a brand, features of a brand, design, colors, weight, size, dimensions, right? All these things of a brand. Emotional values are basically connected with your heart and the mind. As per Chanetani's explanation, okay, so we got to focus on these two dimensions if we are to develop the brand. But however, these two dimensions you can't run the same way throughout. Why? These two dimensions you can't run the same way throughout. What is the reason? Why we can't run? Anyone? Why do you think we can't do like that? What is the reason? Anyone is having any idea? Anoja? ඇයි අපිට මේ mechanistic value දැන් අපි අද brand එකට decide කරනවා these are our functional values, these are our emotional values. Functional values කියන්නේ emotional values කියන්නේ තාම අපි identify කරගන්න stage එකේ ඉන්නේ. But I'm asking why we can't keep it static? Why we can't keep static? Why? Anyone? Anyone?
I think with changing environment, we have to refurnish the brand also.
Exactly, very true. Now, Chanatani is talking about these two along with another dimension, right? Along with another dimension. But most of the time, the people were focusing on these two. Not that they don't, but they forget to match with the dimension of timing. Because this macroeconomic environment and the microeconomic environment is continuously changing. It's dynamic, it's changing. The economic condition which was there yesterday is not the, I mean, economic condition කියලා කිව්වම මේ cost function ම ගන්න එපා. Microeconomic, macroeconomic environment, we'll be having a separate chapter on that area. I mean, which was there yesterday is not today. It's completely different. Socio-cultural parameters which was there yesterday is not today. Political, geopolitical, environmental conditions which was there yesterday is not today. Right? The බලන්න උදාහරණයක් විදියට ගත්තොත් එහෙම geopolitical condition එකක් අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම, right? Very recently taking now look at the war in, I'm not justifying any thing. Look at the war in Russia and Ukraine. Geopolitical condition, when you really look at analyzed, right? Still, how many parliaments the Zelensky addressed, but no one could give a proper solution other than ammunitions to Zelensky. Now, previously, 1 week before Russia started invading the Ukraine, every European countries, every European parliaments, and even the NATO was about to take the Ukraine as a member of NATO. So, but today they were completely silent. But look at the entire country today. Do you think Ukraine can easily stand up again with a good economic condition? Very difficult. It is now completely different. Billion ගාණක් dollar billion ගාණක් assets නෙමේ damage වෙන්නේ. So do we think the country can survive? Look at, okay, I'm not taking Sri Lankan politics. Look at the Sri Lankan political scenario. So do you think that we can stand again, right? Now we are talking about what? 82 billion US dollars national income we are talking about here in Sri Lanka as a brand. Our net worth of Sri Lanka as a brand, I'm just saying, okay, 82 billion US dollars per annum. 82 billion US dollars per annum. There are multinational companies, those who are earning more than that. Okay, our national income, that is our net worth. That is the whole equity of the brand, Sri Lanka. So, I mean, that is how we earn, by selling Sri Lanka as a brand. So, see, ඉතින් මේකත් මේ විදියට වැටෙනකොට, okay, do you think the country like Ukraine will be able to stand up? Very difficult, very difficult. Now see, the geopolitical condition is changing. It is not the same which was there yesterday. So, and in Sri Lanka also same, right? So we were expecting something, but happening something else. It's completely changing. So when things are changing like that, can a brand to be static? No. Brand cannot be static, because brand also need to agile. Brand also need to adapt to these changes. But remember, when brand is changing their emotional values or the functional values, or both, either emotional values or the functional values, or both, they need to maintain the core values of the brand throughout, while adapting, while agiling themselves, while changing to the environmental factors. They need to maintain the core values of the brand. So Chanatan is talking about that. Chanatan is talking about that. So functional values and the emotional values, along with the time-based perspectives, you got to maintain when you are talking about, right, your brand development. Okay, so emotional value, when you really look at this image, right? Look at this image. So out of all the competition, your brand is there. Why? Relevance to the people, loyalty, salience, unique point. Why? Salience, unique point, differentiation. May have personality, attributes, the culture, attraction, all these things basically attracted the mindset against the competitive brand in consumers' mind. So our intention, our objective should be that, to gain there. And there's a famous saying by David Archer: before you send the brand, before you position the brand in the marketplace, position in the mind place. Market එකේ brand එක, ඒ කියන්නේ market එකේ brand එක position කරනවා, place කරනවට කලින් mind එකේ brand එක position කරන්නයි කියන එක කියන්නේ. Because it has a huge weightage. Because when you go to the supermarket, if you know what brand to pick, you will go behind that. You will not wander here and there searching brands if the brand is already there in the mindset. So getting into the mindset, these emotional values are so important to getting into the mindset. But that doesn't mean you can forget the functional values. It is a combination. It is a combination. Then Coca-Cola එක taste the difference කියලා කොච්චර කිව්වත් තරන්න නැහැ නේ taste එකක් නැත්තම්. Then if you can remember, I'm not criticizing, okay, I'm not criticizing the brand. Lankan to the last drop. Okay, Kid Cola brand, Lankan to the last drop. Everybody knows, man. Everybody knows. Lankan to the last drop කියන campaign එක you all can remember, no? Okay, so but if someone gives you option Coca-Cola and Kid Cola, will you consume Kid Cola? So question mark, right? So functional values, where does it fail? Emotionally, everybody attracted to the brand because of the campaign they were running. They were running a massive campaign. Lankan to the last drop campaign. Emotionally, they have captured the mindset, but functionally the product failed. Product ke taste එක, product ke functional side එක fail. So brand was not in a position to survive. So it should be the both side. It should be both while adapting, agiling to the changes in the market. So let's move forward. Slowly. Now, what are the functional values? I mean, when you log into the LMS, you can see this. Okay, so do this exercise and see, right? I mean, brand personality, make a functional value එකක්ද, right? Brand personality කිව්වම functional value එකක්ද, emotional value එකක්ද, you can think. Okay, so I'm really sorry, the signal is pretty slow, I guess. Right. Okay, you can pull these things and see. මොනවද functional values කියලා කියන්නේ? මොනවද emotional values කියලා කියන්නේ? Functional values කියලා ගත්තාම මතක තියාගන්න අපි මේ කතා කරන්නේ features related things. Okay, අපි මේ කතා කරන්නේ attributes related things. දැන් brand personality කියලා කියන්නේ functional value එකක් නෙමෙයි. Right? Brand personality කියලා කියන්නේ it's actually a emotional value. අපි brand එක පුද්ගලයෙක් විදියට දකිනවා. It's an emotional value. It's an emotional value. But අපි features කිව්වොත්, specifications කිව්වොත් ඒක functional value එකක්. So you got to identify that. Design එක functional value එකක්. But design එකෙන් එන I mean අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම feeling එක, right? Prestige එක, luxury කියන feeling එක, එහෙම නැත්නම් appealing එක, down to earth personality එක, ඒක emotional value. So we got to identify that. Minimum two major parameters when you look at, you can, I mean, depending on the product, you have this. Now look at this example as, now one is Mercedes-Benz and the other one is Nissan. Now tell me guys, will you pay the same price what you pay for Mercedes-Benz for Nissan? And remember, Nissan has made this exactly similar, not a change in a fraction. දශමයක්වත් change වෙන්නේ නැතුව design එක, features, engine capacities, engine, everything. But it is Nissan. Do you pay the same price? Do you pay the same price? Think. මේ දෙකෙන් ගන්න ගියොත්, Kameshi, will you pay the same price?
No, sir.
Why? Why?
Because Mercedes-Benz is different and Nissan is totally different. So I will not pay it.
No, I told you mechanically not a change in a decimal. Mechanically, not a change in a decimal. Only they have changed the logo.
But this Mercedes has a good brand name and it will give a good reputation in the society. That is the image they have created within us.
Okay, good. Now see, I mean, mechanical components, what I wanted to come up here. Actually, Nissan doesn't have a vehicle like this. This was a graphical view, right? So what I want to tell you, mechanically, it can duplicate. You can duplicate mechanical values, but you can't duplicate emotional values. So when you look at your brand development, okay, if you can remember the brand versus product curves, the models we studied last week, there are certain things you can duplicate. Those are mechanical things. You can do the same product again and again. You can manufacture, right? But emotional components, you can't duplicate. Now, one good example, right, is this. Lamborghini Murcielago duplicated by Iranian car designer Moradi in 2018. Okay, and it displayed not a change in a decimal. Engine capacities, everything, the design and everything as per 2018 model, he designed as it is. Moradi designed it as it is, not a change in a decimal. But it is not Lamborghini. So you don't pay the same price what you pay for Lamborghini, because the brand emotional component matters a lot. And that doesn't mean the mechanical component is not mattered. Then again, I'm coming back. Mercedes-Benz logo එක දාලා, right? Nissan car එකක් දුන්නොත්, I'm not criticizing Nissan, my dear friends. Don't take me wrong, right? When a brand එකක car එකක් දුන්නොත්, car එක mechanically fail now, if the engine is not performing well, if it gives trouble always. So will you recommend, will you believe this brand anymore? You will not. So you need to have both. You need to have both. Because ඒකයි මම කිව්වේ emotionally capture කරලා කික්කෝලා එක emotionally capture කරාට functionally fail. So ඒක දන්න හින්දා තමයි කික්කෝලා brand campaign එක run කරනකොට කික්කෝලා started running Lankan to the last drop. But what did Coca-Cola said by that time? Counter campaign එක Coca-Cola වල ගියේ මොකද්ද? Coke තියෙන කල් ජීවිතේ මල්. Coke තියෙන කල් ජීවිතේ මල්. You don't have to panic. Coke තියෙනකන් ජීවිතේ මල්. So අලුත් ඒවා ආවයි කියලා panic වෙන්න ඕනේ. See the wording. Coke තියෙනකන් ජීවිතේ මල්. Bhati and Santosh with that lady. Right? කෝක් තියෙන කල් ජීවිතේ මල් කැම්පේන් එක. So එතනදී කොතනටද ඇඩ්‍රස් කරේ? Functional, did they change the functional values? No. Did they basically change the emotional values? No. It is there. They were basically reminding the client same functional and emotional values are there for you all to enjoy your life. So this is where we need to focus when it comes to branding. And remember, it should match with the time changes in the market. Otherwise, you can't do. So the physical perspectives, psychological perspectives and the physical perspectives, you have to turn with your situational dimension, so the time-based perspectives. Then උදාහරණයක් විදිහට අපි අරගමු, right? Then COVID condition එක කියලා කියන්නේ අපි experience කරපු ගිය අවුරුදු දෙක ඇතුළත අපි experience කරපු COVID condition එක කියලා කිව්වහම it's an omnidirectional crisis. Omnidirectional crisis එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ ඒ crisis එක හැම පැත්තකටම පැතිරෙනවා. අපිට එක්කෝ unidirectional crisis එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන් company එකකින්ද ඒගාගේ customers ලට effect එකක් වෙනවා. brand එකකින්ද company brand එක use කරන customers ලා it's unidirection. right? එහෙම නැත්නම් customers ලා හින්දා company එකට effect එකක් වෙනවා. ඒක unidirection. එක පැත්තකට විතරයි. ඒ නැත්නම් bidirection යන්න පුළුවන් ඒ දෙපැත්තෙම එන effect එකකින්. This is an omnidirectional. අපිට මේකේ direction එක සමහරවල්ලාට කියන්න බෑ. I mean, customer game, competitor, game, apita, apping, competitor. So it went in that way. So, I mean, even in a situation like this, you have to turn your wheel properly. Remember to maintain the brand name. And if you can remember, certain brands were completely disappeared and they didn't bother the clients whom they have been treating over a period during the pandemic. And අදටත් ලංකාවේ සමහර බැංකු වලට කතා කරාම කියන්න ලැජ්ජයි. තාම ඔපරේටර්ට වැටෙන කලින් කියනවා we are working with limited resources due to COVID conditions. Now in Sri Lankan companies, Sri Lankan organizations still fail to overcome this issue, right? So we need to look at it. So those things are basically time-based things. Guys, ඔයගොල්ලෝගේ පැතිවලත් මේ ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවද මේ අද දවසට මේ දෙවනි මේ වාහනේ ගිය පරණ කම්පියුටර් පරණ බඩු හොයන. Do you all also have this? චන්දන ඔයගොල්ලෝගේ පැතිවල තියෙනවද ඔය case? Anoja,
not the computer parts, but they are collecting certain things.
Yeah, these people crazy. The second vehicle, this is a scheme, right? I don't know. I mean, like whether they can collect stuff. The second vehicle today asking parana computer, parana washing machine, plastic, karakai mekai. Crazy, right?
They are helping to these households because to remove these wastages from the houses.
Yeah, they are helping. They are helping to the household. No, I mean to say, I mean, just see how many. I mean, that also one industry actually. From here up to Nugegoda, there are 2 collection points. Complete garbages, right? Plastics, metal, or complete garbages. And sometimes you can't pass that place because of lorries. Those who are collecting those items again from these people. So another industry I have not anyway studied, but that also another industry. Right. Okay. Now, time-based perspectives are the 2 things. Now, after this, we'll discuss how we can connect it with the assignment. Guys, look at this, right? This video, one of the best emotionally connected video during COVID.
We don't get the sound.
Y'all don't get the sounds. I have not switched on the sounds. Wait. Can you hear now?
The number of COVID patients is definitely going up. It's heartbreaking.
The patients this time are definitely sicker.
This is a real life situation. This is serious.
We are seeing every day patients dying right in front of us.
I don't think that any of us realised just how challenging this wave was going to be.
When you have to tell somebody that you think this is the start of their lungs failing and that they're not going to get better, that is really, really heartbreaking.
We're doing everything to try and save them.
The worst time was 4 deaths in 2 hours.
It's atrocious, the worst any of us have ever seen.
12 days I've been here. My breath is still not coming there.
It's very dangerous disease.
The staff here have been really quite amazing.
They work long, long hours, but they just keep going. I don't know where they find their energy from.
24/7 care has just been out of this world, and we owe our NHS more than we could ever imagine.
If we don't do what we need to do, it's going to be here for a long time.
For those people who think this is not a serious illness,
They need to take a good look. This is as scary as it gets. My mum was one of the disbelievers, and she's on the next floor up from here.
It's really terrible. I'm 38. I miss my family.
I really do understand that people are frustrated, and we've just got to keep going a little bit longer and follow the rules.
It's just really hurting people this time. It's very hard for everybody.
I saw so many people die here with the heart broken. It's very emotional for me.
Please do as we're asked. Wash your hands, wear your masks, keep a safe distance apart, and please, please do not go out unless you have to. If we don't do these things, people will continue to die.
stay at home. Please stay at home.
And hopefully we'll get through this together.
Actually, I mean, it was a video which was running during COVID. And the reason why I have taken, they are mainly focusing on the emotional components over there. They were not saying, okay, this is the rules, this is how, and they didn't want to talk about, okay, you have to keep this distance and all these things. Inside the video, a little bit of things they were talking about, but their main focus is to bring how challenging this position for human life. How challenging this position for human life. And they said, okay, I mean, they were showing the patients, you know, how they were struggling. And Jaguar, if you really want to know, Jaguar, Audi, Mercedes-Benz, 3 companies got together, and I will share those links with you all, share those videos with you all. They were running a nice campaign. 3 competitors got together and ran a nice campaign during COVID, just to connect emotionally with the people. So, I mean, emotional components, you all can do a lot when it comes to the brand management, but you got to manage it carefully without, changing your core values, the core purpose behind the brand. So you got to identify that part. So anyway, I will share you all the other video links, right? So with that, my dear friends, the term brand and the branding, we can look at in many different ways, right? Okay, the brand, look at this. Brand is basically a combination of tangible values and intangible values. Okay, tangible values are the mechanistic value, mechanical value, physical values, what we talk about, right? Physical values. And the intangible values are the moral-driven values, the psychological values, and the emotional component. And brand is a combination of these two now, right? Values that are needed periodically, right? Needed to adapt periodically. Again, brand should have that adaptability and agility. To uplift whom? Only seller? No, seller and buyer both, right? Seller is the brand owner, the person who owns the brand, and the buyer is the person who is consuming the brand. by augmenting the total identity and image. So it has a huge thing. මේ brand එක කියලා කිව්වහම අපිට නිකන් නමක් නෙමෙයි. If you all can recall how American Marketing Association defined the term brand, they were talking about it only as a differentiation tool to identify one brand from another. No, it has a huge meaning. It has a huge meaning. It combines both tangible values. It combines both intangible values. It and agile adapt periodically for the benefit of both buyer and seller. Buyer to විතරයි නම් benefit එහෙම නැත්නම් seller to විතරයි නම් benefit, it is one way game. You can't survive for a longer period. And by augmenting the total identity and image, brand should be able to augment කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ expand කරනවායි කියන එක. Identity and image, right? If you can augment, so that is the term brand we can use further. Now look at this evolution of this BMW vehicles, right? But BMW is BMW from the inceptions. The mechanical component is changing periodically with slight modification to emotional components. They still be there in the be there as one of the best brands in the world. Look at the term branding. If you are to brand, you need branding. Branding is what? Collection of mindfully integrated activities. And it is not isolated activities. It is an integrated activity. It is an integrated effort. It can make a combined effort. Make a tiny effort. Combined effort. So to build a brand, you can't just run advertisements. You have to combine other activities. You have to manage internal culture. You have to manage stakeholders within the organization and outside the organization, those who are connected with the organization. You have to run communication campaigns. You have to match the customer expectations, everything. It's an integrated effort. මේ integrated activities කියලා කියන්නේ combine කරපු activity එකක්. Isolatedly එක පැත්තක් විතරක් focus කරලා යන එකක්. To reflect the brand identity. May integrated activities should be able to give the reflection of brand identity and image. Look at these, how important these two words, brand identity and image. In the market with agility and the adaptability. Again, I'm telling you, agility and the adaptability with time changes. So when you look at these two definitions, the brand and branding, it talks about almost everything, my dear friends. So it has a huge weight. It has a huge weight. So this is where we talk about. So Chinatown is talking about the emotional values and the functional values. Identify your brand. මම මෙතන links ගොඩක් දීලා තියෙනවා. Right? Links ගොඩක් දීලා තියෙනවා. So you all can look at those links, especially the advertisements තියෙනවා. Okay. So eva බලන්න, then you all can get an idea. Any question when it comes for emotional and the functional values, guys? මම ආයි assignment එකේ එක part එකකට යනවා ඊට කලින්. Any questions in emotional values and the functional values?
Clear, sir. Clear for me.
Okay, superb. Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay, where was the emotional values part? Okay. Guys, look at this, right? Look at this. I'm again going into the assignment. Task 2, part 2. Visualize the existing company emotional and functional values of the corporate brand identity that will enhance the corporate brand equity. So මෙතනදී ඔයගොල්ලන්ට දැනට identify කරගන්න තියෙන්නේ, right? Now whatever the company, the corporate brand you have selected, identify the functional values. So what are the functional values, right? Functional values kiwama, how many years experience, what is their current portfolio, the size of the portfolio, size of the product mix, and the turnover revenue of the organization, number of branches, number of people, those who are working, number of brands they are managing, number of, let's say, so those things are functional values of the brand. Look at the emotional values of the brand, right? So identify whether they have captured in what way. Functional values තමයි අර industry එක පවා අපි මේ කතා කරන්නේ. Now when you look at most of the points we discuss, you talk about functional values. අර task 1 එකේ part A එකේ අපි කතා කරන්නේ ගොඩක් functional values අපි කතා කරනවා. But don't bring as it is there, you have to explain it properly. And emotional values, identify, okay, how they are trying to position themselves. Position කියන word එක we'll be doing after the break, right? So how they are trying to position themselves, right? What type of a personality they are trying to communicate, what type of a culture they try to communicate. අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම ඒගොල්ලෝ select කරගත්ත company එක මිනිස්සු outsider කෙනෙක් දකින්නේ කොහොමද? right? එතකොට ඒ outsider කෙනෙක් ඒක දකින්නකොට එයා company එකේ නම කිව්වහම එයා කොයි විදිහටද එයා reaction එක කරන්නේ? Positiveද? Negativeද? So those things are emotional components you got to talk about. So ඕගොල්ලන්ට මේ අද කරපු මේ part එකෙන් දැනට කරපු ටිකෙන් identify කරගන්න select කරගත්ත company එකේ functional values මොනවද? Emotional values මොනවද කියලා එක තමයි ඒකෙන් කරන්නේ. So use that slide to do that. You don't have to explain what is functional values, what is emotional values. No, you have to explain what are functional values that are there in the company you have selected, what are emotional values you have identified in the company what you have selected. ඕක තමයි ඒකෙන් කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. Any questions? Any question? Yeah, Anoja, you have put okay, clear, sir. No, sorry. Any question? In the main task 2, part 2 තමයි functional value, emotional values වලින් අපි කතා කරේ. We'll do a structure for the assignment also next week, but you take a start for the by selecting the company. අපි ඊට පස්සේ complete structure එකත් හදමු assignment එකට. Then you can, it's like after that it's like fill in the blank. Okay, any question? If not, we can take a quick break and we can meet up at 10:45. Now it's 10:23. We can meet up at 10:45, 10:50 like. Any questions? Anyone is having any questions? Nisansala, are you clear?
Clear, sir.
Assignment also, right? You're clear with the assignment also, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So we'll take a quick break then. So we'll meet up in 10:45. Right? After the break, we'll meet up. So then we'll discuss the personality and the other stuff. Okay, guys. Thank you very much. We'll meet up after the break.
Okay.
Okay, guys, actually, now in your assignment task 1, you talk about stakeholder analysis. For you all to complete the task 1, I thought of taking these 2 models where you all can use it for the first 2 papers, right? You all need to give a introduction to the company along with the stakeholders, no? So you all can hear me, right? Thumbs up at the no. Okay, super. Thank you. So make now in your assignment, this task 1, they ask you all to talk about the stakeholders. Stakeholders in the sense stakeholders means whoever who are having interest towards the organization in whatever the way. It can be customer, it can be competitor, or whoever, right? Connected in whatever the way with the business, right? Suppliers, la, the employees, la, the government, you name them, right? So we use 2 models to analyze this. එකක් තමයි අපි කියනවා power interest grid එක කියලා, right? We are analyzing stakeholders by looking at the power and the interest towards the organization, right? Now let's say as an example, you select a company, right? And in that company, you analyze your stakeholders, you identify. So do this model, show this model and mention who are the people, identify people in the sense who are the stakeholders you identify here. Now, some stakeholders, under this model, we categorize based on their power, legitimate power they have to take decision towards the organization. Interest towards the organization, interest towards the organization, whether they have a high interest towards the organization, either to control or either to, see the growth of the organization or whatever. Interest towards the organization. එතකොට මෙන්න මේ model එකේ power interest grid එක අපි analyze කරනවා stakeholders ලව. How are we going to identify? We look at the stakeholders, those who are having based on this parameter, power of taking decisions, power of influencing, power of controlling activities within the organization. So we have people. Now let's say as an example, employees. They are working inside the organization, but they don't have legitimate power to take some decisions sometimes, right? They are here. But let's say board of directors, shareholders, business owners, they have high power. They have high power somewhere here, right? Somewhere here. Employees are somewhere here because they don't have much power. But as one single employee or as an employee, but as a trade union, they have a huge power. They have a huge power as trade unions, right? As societies, associations within the organization, they have high power. And by looking at the interest at the same time, you look at, okay, who are the stakeholders we identify? Depending on the company what you have selected. Interest, employees are having high interest towards the organization. Interest කියලා කියන්නේ එකෙන් අදහස් කරන්නේ කැමැත්තෙන් වැඩ කරනවායි කියන එක නෙමෙයි. Because they're highly worried about the organization, because if something happened to their organization, the company, their income also will get affected. They have high interest, and board of directors also have high interest. By looking at these 2 parameters, we categorize, we position identified stakeholders, right? I've got competitors. Competitors are having high interest towards the organization, but they don't have high power. They can't take decisions towards the organization. They can compete with the organization, but they don't have power to take decisions within the organization. So they are here, low power, but high interest. Your competitors, high interest. That also depending on the industry. Now, let's say as an example, monopoly industry, you don't have, you have substitute competition, but they don't even bother about the major player. They just promote their products. So they have no interest at all, and their power is also very low. You know, so you got to identify whoever the stakeholders, right? Whoever the stakeholders connected with your organization based on their power, legitimate power to take control or take decisions towards the organization, and also their interest towards the organization. So power interest grid, we identified this as a power interest grid. One of the model what we use to analyze the stakeholders. එතකොට මෙතන මේ model එකම ඇඳලා ඔයගොල්ලන්ට පුළුවන් stakeholder analysis එක කරන්න. මීට කලින් මම ගත්තොත් එහෙම stakeholders ලා කවුද කියලා identify කරගන්න. Now there's another model called linkage model. Linkage model of stakeholder analysis, right? මේකට අපි කියනවා linkage model එක කියලා. Stakeholder linkages, what are the linkages we have with the organization? Now your company is here, this is your organization. So we have, okay, first we'll look at the functional linkages. Employees, union, suppliers, and all these things are basically the functional link, one of the functional linkages who provide inputs to the organization, right? Inputs to the organization. And other functional linkages are the consumers, retailers, distributors, channel intermediaries, and all of them. Basically, we basically look at from output to the organization, right? Now, see why we call it as functional organization. They are directly, right, affecting the operation of the organization. Operation of the organization. Products හදන්න, products raw materials ගන්න, products හදන්න, right? මේ අපේ functional linkages වල inputs part එක අයිති වෙනවා. ඒතර output part එක අපේ products purchase කරන්න, products ඊට පස්සේ distribute කරන්න, redistribute කරන්න, retail කරන්න, share. So they are important in that. So functional linkages we identify. So there you might put them into this. අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම channel intermediaries la, middlemen, අතරමැදියෝ, distributors la, wholesalers la. They have high interest towards the organization. There may be distributors, those who are having high power also, who can dictate terms on you. Now, let's say as an example, you identify a company. Okay, your modern trade retailer is having about 300 supermarket outlets. I mean, he's interest towards the organization, true. And he's having high power, being an outsider. He might say, look here, no, we don't need to buy from you. So you will have to move out from this. He's taking decisions sometimes towards you. So he's having high power to give a control towards the organization, depending on the brand power you have. So you got to identify them. This linkage model, one linkage type we identified as the functional linkages directly connected with the operation of the organization, right? And basically making the revenue stream directly influencing the revenue stream directly. Okay, so that is functional linkages. And the other one we identified as enabling linkages. Now let's say as example, okay, some kind of authority they do have to control the organization. Okay, some kind of authority sometimes they do have. Sometimes they have 100% authority also to control. Now, as an example, the board of directors, they are enabling linkage, right? They are the people, those who are taking, okay, entire decisions towards the organization. Government regulators, they also somewhat like that. They might come up and say tomorrow, hey, look here, you can't operate here, you close down. Regulators, the people, those who are making regulations, the legislators, the people, those who are making law.
Hi, sir. I think we cannot hear.
It's only for me or others also the same.
Yeah, guys, I think it's a small technical difficulty. So it'll be okay soon. Okay, hold on.
Can you all hear me now?
Yes, now okay. I think it's okay.
Sir.
Yes.
Hi guys, so we'll be joining soon. Thank you.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, and now can hear. Yeah, I hope the others can hear.
Sinhala මාව ඇහෙනවද දැන්?
Yes, I can hear. Yes. Hello?
I can't hear you all. Wait. Sinhala, can you hear me? Sinhala?
Yes, can hear.
But I can't hear you all. Give me 1 minute, guys. I think I will have to restart this. Can you see whether you can hear?
Yes, I can hear now.
All right. Okay.
I hope you can hear me.
Yes. Oh my goodness. It was killing the time. Okay, let me upload the presentation. Right. Actually, we were talking about the two theory areas which can be which we have to discuss when it comes for the assignment, not to actually one theory area. That is the stakeholder analysis, right? When you're analyzing the selected company, you have to analyze the stakeholders. Now, when you're analyzing the stakeholders, you all can use this model. Okay. First model, stakeholder linkage model, that you all don't have to show, right? It is okay even you show that, but if you can manage the word count, you can show that. Okay, but not as a theory, but the real stakeholders that are connected. එතකොට දැන් මේ වගේ මේ linkage model එක ඕගොල්ලෝ එතනින් පෙන්නනවා නම් මෙතන employees ලා කියලා උදාහරණයක් I'm just saying employees කියලා නිකන් ලියලා ඉවර කරන්න එපා. Now let's say if you have selected a company which is in the manufacturing. There you have employees in manufacturing plant, employee in administration, employee in sales and distribution. Let's say you are talking about the service function. So you talk about these type of employees that are there. Trade union, nikang union kila daan pa. If you have union in that factory, what is the purpose behind the union? What type of union? Is it a welfare related one? It is a union for labor or other related requirements what they have performed. So suppliers kila nikang daan pa. What type of suppliers? What type of material they supply and all this. Suppliers from this. Kila you have to explain it in that way. Okay. So this is the let me explain. There are two models. Linkage model and the other one is the power interest grid. So out of these two models, if you mention the power interest model, which is ideal, but to do that you need to know the linkages, stakeholder linkages. So this linkage model shows how and what type of stakeholders are connected with the organization. Here you talk about the organization, and there are, 4 type of linkages we identified connected with the organization, stakeholders. So functional linkage in a sense, the linkages or the stakeholders that are connected directly with the organizational operation, right? From supply to final consumer, those who are directly connected with the organizational operation, right? Customers, channel intermediary, retailers, distributors, wholesalers, franchise agents, brokers, you name all these are we considered as output related functional linkages. The employees, suppliers, and the people, those who are working in the organization and all this, them we considered as the input related functional linkages. So this is one type of stakeholders within the organization. And the other one we identified as, okay, let's say the enabling linkages, especially for organization to run, take decisions, who gives authority. Then we identified as the enabling linkages, who have some control in taking authority. So they are enabling linkages in that case. Now, mainly the investors, the board of directors, or let's say government inland revenue, BOI, depending on the industry, they are giving authority for you to run the business. If you are into telecommunication industry, Telecommunication Regulation Commission, right? They are the people, those who are giving authority for organization to run the operation. Without the TRC, SL approval, you can't do the business. So like that, we have enabling linkages, right? Congress and them, of course, not in Sri Lanka, right? Stockholders are the basically people, those who are managing, let's say, even your share capitals or the shareholders, we can consider into that category. So state legislators, the lawmakers, right? So they considered as the enabling linkages. Provincial councils, divisional secretariats, inland revenue department, you name, depending on the business that you're into, there are enabling linkages. You got to identify them. And the other one is the diffuse linkages. Diffuse linkages are very neutral, but if something happens, they comes up. Right? But let's say as an example, if we recruit child labor, child labor organizations say you have recruited child laborers, you have to stop that operation and all these things. Right? I shared your last week or week before one incident happened in 2004. We ran a campaign, the buyback of a campaign. Right, long time back story. Buyback of a campaign, and the entire campaign you give your old product and take a new product at a discounted offer, right? So that was the whole campaign, and we were using old gentleman comes and give his old wife and take a new wife, right, young lady. So there was a huge pressure from, and we had to stop the campaign, right? We had to stop the campaign. So volunteer organizations, right? NGOs, NPOs, special interest groups. So they are there. They are diffuse linkages. Sometimes you can't identify them. Until something happens, you can't identify them. So අපි ගත්තොත් උදාහරණයක් විදියට අර මෙට්‍රස් කේස් එක හේලිස් ගෲප් එකේ, right? environmental organizations ඊට පස්සේ කතා කරන්න පටන් ගත්තා. අපි දන්නේ අහලා තිබ්බ නැති environmental organizations උත් එතන කතා කරන්න පටන් ගත්තා. Right? So linkages, we identified them as diffuse linkages. And the other linkage we identified the normative linkage method. Somewhat similar to your organization, or the interest towards your organization is somewhat similar. අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම competition එක especially අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම. Right? එහෙම නැත්නම් peer associations අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම. Similar institutions අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම. ඒ වගේ ඒවා අපි කියනවා normative linkages කියලා. අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම they also can influence, but they don't have much power like enabling linkages. They don't have much power like some of the functional linkages, but they also have some kind of a interest towards the organization. So these are the types of stakeholders what we identify in organization as categories and the types. Okay, and when you identify with your organization, these categories you can plot into power interest grid there. With that, you can manage your word count and identify the stakeholders who are connected with the organization in task 1 part A, my dear friends. So make one brief karena isla sadde mewa chinda. So now how do we identify? We categorize all these stakeholders we identified here into into 4 areas by looking at 2 dimensions, 2 directions, right? So these 2 directions are, one is the legitimate power they have to take decisions towards the organization, power they have to take decisions towards the organization. And the other one, interest towards the survival of the organization or whatever, right? Interest towards the organization. So based on these 2, power and interest, okay, we categorize our stakeholders into 4 groups. So you identified functional linkages, 2 types, bring them and plot here. Employees la kotanada, board of directors la kotanada, trade unions kotanada inne, right? Suppliers la kotanada inne. So bring them and plot. Depending on the business, supplier for one business might be low power category, but suppliers for another in business may be high power category. Now let's say as an example, you are solely dependent on particular special raw material supplier, and you mainly, your supply is dictating terms on you on whatever the things. Etakota supply is having a huge power to control yourself. And sometimes you will have to bend on the terms and condition what supplier is giving because he's the sole supplier. So supplier is having. So high power and high interest. High power and high interest. So see this. Then based on that, you categorize. And as an example, if we take, let's say, diffuse linkages like NGOs, right? Until sometimes they might not see as high interest group or high power group. But when a scenario happens, they will come up with a high interest. And sometimes they might even make a high power towards the organization. Influence කරන්න බලන්න. එහෙම නැත්නම් සමහරලාට power එක අඩුයි, but they have high interest. They are the watchdogs of the organizations, right? So they control certain things. They look at what is happening inside. They will be the whistleblowers finally of the organization. Parana Besam bucket ganna third vehicle for today. Right. So මේ model එක ඔයගොල්ලන්ට use කරන්න පුළුවන් task 1 එකේ assignment එකට. task 1 part A වලට. ඒක පැහැදිලිද? නිසංසලා මේ model එක use කරන විදිය පැහැදිලිද? තේරුම් නැත්තම් කියන්න පුතා.
Yes, sir.
Clear.
Clear.
Okay. Anoja?
Clear. Yes, sir.
Samadhi?
Sir.
Kameshi, Dulan? Dulan, ne? I can't remember. Kameshi, what about you? Where's Chandana? Chandana. Dulan, are you okay? Dulan, ne? Dulaj, ne? Dulaj, are you okay? Clear the model? Okay. Select කරගන්න company එක ගැන idea එකක් තියෙනවද දැන් ඕගොල්ලන්ට? මොකක්ද ඕගොල්ලන් select කරගන්නේ කියලා? Do you all have any idea about the company what you are planning to select?
Yes, sir.
මොකක්ද අනුජ තෝරගන්නේ?
My own
What is your business?
coffee company.
You are working for which company is it?
But link natural.
Okay, link natural.
FMC industry.
Yeah, that is good. That is good. Right. Okay, now when you start analyzing, sometimes because you are analyzing for study purpose, කොහොමහරි to get through the assignment you study, කවදාවත් හම්බ වෙච්ච නැති දේවලුත් ඔන්න හම්බ වෙනවා මේක මෙහෙම තියනවා නේද? It happens usually. Right? It happens. Samadhi, what the company you are selecting? Dialogue. Samadhi?
Yes, sir. Dialogue.
Kameshi, what about? Kameshi is into call center operation. Kameshi, what is the company you are planning to select? Kameshi? Dulaj, you can select your own company. Is it how long you have been doing this, Dulaj?
It's 3 to 4 months actually.
Then there's a challenge, ne? Then you will not be able to make it. Then you will have to select a company, Buddha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Think about a good company, and if it is in a same industry, anyway, you are talking about your digital marketing now. So digital marketing is basically a part of advertising now. So if you can select a good company in advertising industry like LDB, Lintas, Leo Bernard, Phoenix, or Gilby, Minds FCB is not there now. So kind of a good international advertising agency, and analyze even that would be okay. Or else some comfortable industry where you can get details. Do something like that. Because 3 months, no, it's not sufficient to do the assignment. Because then you will not have one thing, you will not have data. And if you start faking this data, then you will have to struggle at the Viva, or defend karana very
company.
I couldn't get you. What?
Is it okay to get an international company?
That is okay, but I mean, think if it is operating in Sri Lanka. There was a thing in assignment, company which is international company is okay, but operating in Sri Lanka is better.
Okay, so
I mean, multinational operating in Sri Lanka perfectly okay. Even company like modern trade supermarkets, you can take whatever, but take a good company, then it is easy for you to go for analysis. ඒකයි එතන තියෙන්නේ. අර එතකොට ඒවයි data තියෙනවනේ. Analyze කරන අපිට model එකක් ගත්තාම දැන් අපි උදාහරණයක් විදිහට ගත්තොත් stakeholder analysis එක අපි මේ කරන තියෙනවනේ. Many stakeholders are connected with the company now. So then it is easy for us to implement the model. Otherwise we have to think, assume and do. එතන එහෙම assumptions වලට ගිහිලා කරන්න ගියාම සමහරලාට වරදින්න ඉඩ තියෙනවා. මොකද මේ එකකට එකක් connected නේ. ඒතර එකකට එකක් connect වෙනකොට ඒක වරදින්න ඉඩ තියෙනවා. So select whatever comfortable good industry and a company. Right, okay. So you all clear with this model, stakeholder analysis model. So this is the one where you all can use to explain the task 1 stakeholders. කියන එකට මේක දාන්න. කොහොම හරි ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඊළඟ week එක ඇතුළත මේ week එක ඇතුළත now today 20th no, if you all can complete these 2 pages with this detail, the company would be ideal. By 27th, if you all can complete it, then you're clear. Then I can correct it and I can ask you all to keep it ready. So එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලන්ට ඒක ගැන worry වෙන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. Right? try කරන්නනේ ඊළඟ week එකේ ඒක ඉවර කරන්න. ඉවර කළා you send me a mail or WhatsApp කරන්න මට individually. group එකේ WhatsApp දාන්න එපා. මේ group එකේ දාන්න එපා කියලා කියන්නේ දෙන්නේ your assignment නේ. So whatever the group messages, of course, okay. But since your assignment, you WhatsApp me personally, then I will correct it and give you all. We'll do like that. Right. So let me go back to this LMS. Still the power failures are there, no? Okay, so we were talking about functional and emotional values. So let's look at the different phases of or different phases of the brand. Now, when it comes for a brand, my dear friends, we were talking about functional and emotional values now. When you really look at the brand, actually the visible component is only a small part. Now we can see the product, we can see logo, we can see all the design part, features, we can see, but when it comes for a brand, you see it's simply an iceberg concept we see in a brand. But we can't see this, right? Titanic එක මෙතන නෙමෙයිනේ වැදුනේ. Titanic එක වැදුනේ මෙතන. මේක strong හින්දා තමයි මේ hidden මේ iceberg එකේ මේ hidden part එක strong හින්දා තමයි ඒකට පුළුවන් උනේ Titanic එක ගිල්ලවන්න. Right? Not just because of the visible one, because they were just ignoring the visual components, visible part of the iceberg. So the real strength comes here. So your core values, your positioning, your personality, your culture, right? Identity, ඔය ඔක්කොම දේවල් මෙන්න මේ අපිට අපි experience කරනවා මිසක් අපිට ඇහැට පේන්නේ. We can see the logo, we can see the brand name, we can see the product, we can see colors, we can see packaging and everything we can see. But whatever we experience when we are consuming the product are basically comes because of this invisible component. The energy which is given to the brand. Now the visual components are the things, logo, name, whatever marketing communication activities and all these things, and invisible components. So there we need to talk about the identity, personality, image, and all these things, right? Co-competencies and all these things we need to talk about. So co-competency is another model, theory model, another theory model actually we will be discussing today. So let's look at this. Right now, look at the co-competency, another model. Okay, when you look at a brand, my dear friends, your brand is having. Sometimes your brand might have a competency where no one can duplicate. It's a unique and it's a co-competency in your brand. So this Hamel and Prahalab's, the co-competency model, okay, is talking about by looking at the resources of your brand, we identify how strong it is. Actually, this is a model which even can use to analyze your internal organizational resources and the competencies and the capabilities, right? And we are looking your internal resources as per this model Hamel and Prahalab, who introduced in 1990, right? Your resources and your competency we match along with your competitor's capacity. Okay, competitor's capacity. Now, as an example, you take a resource. We look at whether the competitor can easily imitate this resource. Brand එකකට feature එකක් තියෙනවා. මම කිව්වේ mechanical value එකක් තියෙනවා. Technology, what you use to make the product. Can my competitor easily imitate? Does my competitor have enough money to invest and compete by looking at this? If so, that is not one of the major resource. It's a threshold resource where the moment competitor comes, gone. Or else, do you have a brand where your competitor cannot easily duplicate your values? Your brand values easily duplicate. Your resource එකක් තියෙනවා. Patented resource එකක් තියෙනවා. Competitor duplicate කරන්න බෑ because your brand is having the patent. It's a unique resource what your brand is having. Competitor cannot duplicate. Unique resource. Your buying power. Let's say as an example, මම මෙතන දාලා තියෙනවා Walmart. Walmart as the global #1 retailer, okay, world's #1 retailer, they are having a unique, actually it's a competency and also it's a resource. They are financially very strong, and because of that they are practicing unique selling economics of scale rather. They buy volume because of the financial strengths they have. And when they buy volume, they are getting huge discount. And it is a unique resource as well as it's a unique competency of Walmart, what others cannot have. So like that, the patents, those financial strengths, the global reach, and all these things are unique resources or the unique competencies where people cannot easily duplicate. Now, if you can remember, I can remember the advertisement, the brand name. Can you remember Sangakkara was appearing into telecom? I think Hutch and Airtel. Mama මාරුණා Airtel එකකට කියලා ඉවරලා කියන්නේ යා brand ambassador වෙලා ඉඳිති Hutch එකේද කොහෙද? I can't remember the exact brand. He used to be a brand manager for one particular mobile communication brand, and he shifted to another brand, and he was saying මමත් change වුණා Airtel එකට හරි මොකට හරි. He was talking like that. See, initially it was a resource until the competitor acquired him as the brand ambassador. So he used to be, it was a threshold resource. Nah? It was a threshold resource. So, I mean, we need to identify. Now, let's say as example, you have unique competency, which means design, good team of designers you have, right? Within the organization, good team of designers you have, they are the best in the country who can design campaigns. So it's a unique competency within the organization, right? Within the organization. And until they are there with the company, okay? It is a threshold resource. The moment they are they headhunt by the competitor, it's gone, right? That competency gone. So we can't take it as a co-competency because the competitor might pull them to their organization. So co-competencies are the competencies where your competitor cannot duplicate. Your competitor cannot easily match. So that type of competencies in a brand. Unique brand value, the patented values, then unique culture, what you created for the brand, and those things are core competencies and the unique resources what you have. So බලන්න ඕගොල්ලෝ select කරගන්න corporate brand එක ගත්තොත්. එතකොට ඒගොල්ලන්ට තියෙන resources ඔයගොල්ලෝ හිතන උදාහරණයක් විදිහට කාගිල්ස් ගන්නවා. එහෙනම් ඒ තියෙන resources skills එකට compete කරන්න පුළුවන්ද බැරිද? අපිකට complete කරන්න පුළුවන්ද බැරිද? Look at it. Compete කරන්න බැරි නම් ඒක unique resource එකක්. compete කරන්න පුළුවන් නම්, imitate කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් ඒක threshold resource එකක්. බලන්න select කරගත්ත company එකට compete කරන්න, ඒ කියන්නේ imitate කරන්න බැරි competency එකක් තියෙනවා. It's a core competency. Imitate කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් ඒක threshold competency. So like that, you need to identify. This is another model what we are using to analyze the core competencies of the brand. Remember. So this even we are using as an auditing tool to identify the brand values and finally the brand equity. Any question in this model? Any question in this model? Anyone is having any question in this model? Okay. Right. Now let's move forward with this. So the core competencies of these brands, see, right? So different brands are having different core competency levels. Okay, sometimes with their tangible resources, sometimes with their intangible values, right? So you got to identify. Then api identify karagatta functional values, emotional values කියලා values api identify karagattane. Corporate api කතා කරන assignment එකට කතා කරන brand එකේ සහ corporate brand එකේ. එතකොට ඕගොල්ලන්ට බලන්න පුළුවන් ඒක resource එකක්ද competency level එකක්ද එහෙම නැත්නම් ඒක inimitable ද imitable ද කියලා බලන්න. imitate කරන්න පුළුවන්ද imitate කරන්න බැරිද කියලා. Based on that you can categorize the brand in that way. Okay, so any questions? So it seems no questions there in that one. So let me take the assignment once again. Give me 1 minute. Okay, let's look at the assignment. Okay, task 3 එකේදී ඔයගොල්ලන්ට use කරන්න පුළුවන් ඒක auditing tool එකක් විදියට. මොකද we are auditing the company's capacity, no? So that is one of the tool you can use it at the task 3, right? So outline කරනකොට අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් company එකේ internal environment එක analyze කරන්න. අපි ගන්න tool company එකේ corporate brand එකේ internal perspectives analyze කරන්න ගන්න tool එකක් විදියට we can make it at the latter part. Let me see whether we can take it. Even that we can use when it comes to brand reputation. It's anyway part of the reputation. If you are having a co-competency, right? If your brand is having a co-competency and the unique resource, those are increasing reputations, you know. Those are increasing reputation, but you can't use it. You don't have to use it here since they are talking about the reputation along with these other elements. So you all can use this model for the task 3 part 1. Task 3 part 1. May model එක use කරන්න පුළුවන්. You all can explain it in that way. Seems you all okay with it. Right. Guys, if you all can't understand, you all have to tell me. It's perfectly okay, right? Because I told you all, I mean, this subject is having so much of models, so much of concepts, so much of theories. So we need to make sure that we are touching all these things. ඒවා සමහර ඒවා ඔයගොල්ලන්ට confuse වෙන්න ඉඩ දෙනවා මේක practically කොහොමද implement කරන්න කියන එක. Just get it clarified. Perfectly okay. Give me 1 minute. Let me open it. Right. Yeah, back. So we are looking at the different interpretation of the brand. මෙතනත් අපි කතා කරනවා interpretations කීපයක් and especially the positioning part, right? So that you need to do task 1 part 2 especially. So let's look at that area, right? Here it's like this now. අපි brand එකක් ගත්තාම, right? We can see a brand in different angles. අපි හැමතිස්සෙම brand එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ මේ product එකක් විදියට product එකක් identify කරන්න නමක් විදියට එහෙම නෙමෙයි, right? Because we are looking from the brand management perspectives. No? when we look from the brand management perspectives, we identified in different ways, right? So brand එකක අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම these emotional values and the functional values, we look along with the time, right? We were talking about these functional values and the emotional values need to adapt and agile depending on the changes in the macro and the microeconomic environment, right? When you're designing a brand, once again, another thing you got to look at the things that you manage within the organizations to bring something from the organization. I mean, from the market rather. There are three things we look at here also. One is the input perspectives, which means the things what we do, let's say as the brand manager or the brand owner, things what we do or the resources what we manage, capacities, competencies what we manage within the organization to make it more effective outside the market. You being a brand manager or me being the brand manager is responsible on managing these things. Output in the sense, whatever we do, how the customer is interpreting. It's like what I said earlier, we try to create an identity. Customer is getting an image based on the identity. If there's a mismatch between these two, we are not successful. Then we create confused customer. You can't do like that. All right. Okay. So input perspectives are the things that brand managers responsible to do within the organization to make it more effective in the external environment. Output perspectives, in the sense, output-based perspectives in the sense, how the customer or your channels or the target market and the target audience interpret your brand and build whatever the image. So this you need to manage along with the time you pass in the market, right? So ඒක මතක තියාගන්න අපි input perspectives, output perspectives, time based perspectives කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියන එක. මොකද ඒකත් අර අපි QA functional values, emotional values අපි කතා කරගෙන යනවා වගේ focus කරගෙන යනවා දෙයක්. Right. So input perspectives, who is giving? Internally within the organization, brand manager, the brand owner. What do? They design logo, instruments, company, all these things, right? Output perspectives, image and the relationship from where? Customers. Time-based perspectives, evolving, right? පරිණාමණය වෙන. right? ඒ කියන්නේ අපි උදාහරණයක් විදිහට ගත්තොත් මේ ස්ටෙප් එකෙන් අනිත් ස්ටෙප් එකට යනවා. මේ ස්ටෙප් එකෙන් තව ස්ටෙප් එකකට යනවා. Evolving, time-based perspectives. So as manager, as a brand owner, you all need to make sure that you're creating cluster of values, vision, mission to the brand, attributes, attitudes, the positioning platforms, the personality, and all these things being inside the organization. Expecting customer to build a good image and increase relationship and the reputation towards the brand. And time-based, we are evolving with the timing. අපි එක තැන ඉන්නේ නැහැ time එකත් එක්ක. We are evolving with the time. Okay. So listen carefully. And I mean, අපි brand එක විදියට දකිනවා. Brand we see as logo. මේක මම ලොකු වෙලාවක් ගන්න. Right? I mean, you can see many logos here, right? Now, sometimes by looking at the logo, we can recover almost everything which related to brand. Pepsi, Visa, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Marks and Spencer, Ford, let's say Amazon, Yahoo, eBay, Wikipedia, Dow. අපි මේ brands logo එක දිහා බලලා by looking at the brand logo, we can recall the entire brand sometimes. What type of a product, in which industry, how they serve, and what type of premium side, what type of a personality, what type of attributes, attitude, feature, culture, everything we can recall along with the brand, just by looking at the logo. And remember, when you are making the logo, we need to make it in a way where people can easily remember. Sometimes you might create a logo without a name, only the color scheme and all this. People might not recognize. Will the memorability is there? Now look at Apple logo, half-eaten apple. Such a powerful, even a half-eaten apple, where they said it goes into their mindset saying Apple brand. Apple brand. So not a single word, but half-eaten apple talks about everything behind the brand. Such powerful. So logo can do this. The brand logo, right? So you need to design a logo in a way where they can, where you can easily, where the customer can easily remember. Memorability should be there. The likability should be there, right? So things should be there when it comes for brand logo, right? Recognition, differentiation purpose, you can see the favorable influence, the brand selection decision. Logo එක දැක්ක ගමන් අපි බය නැහැ එතනින් එහාට. And remember, when you look at the industry, right, and most of the companies are trying to manufacture fake brands for good. I mean, well-known brands. Fake products එන්නේ මොනවටද? Nike, Giordano, branded products වලට තමයි. Apple, Samsung, ඔයටත් එනවා fake products. Right? ඒතර original brand එක නෙමෙයි ඉන්නේ. වෙන කොහේ හරි third party manufacturer කෙනෙක් ගහලා they are trying to take the advantage out of the memorability of the customer, likability of the customer, right? Preferences where the customers are giving to a particular brand. They are trying to take advantages by making. දැන් මම අද product එකක් දැම්මයි කියලා හෙට මට බලන්න බෑ fake products market එකේ තියෙනවා කියලා. Right? එතකොට දැන් උදාහරණයක් විදිහට ගත්තොත් fake product එකක් market එකට එන්නේ market එක already existing තියෙන හොඳ brand එකකට. reason එක තමයි මේ brand එකට attractive නම් මේ brand එකෙන් unethical advantage එකක් ගන්න තමයි fake products එළියට එන්නේ. So how many Nike, how many Giordano, how many Marks and Spencer, how many CK, how many Mango, so many, right? Even the McDonald's, the fake products are there, right? So like that, you need to identify things. So brand as a logo is giving a huge meaning towards the business. So you can, when you all write the assignment, you can even talk about these points. This is the company logo, and people recognize this, right? Can they easily remember the logo? What comes into the consumer's mind when they talk about this brand? So you talk about the reputation. You talk about the image and the identity the brand has created over a period in the mindset of the consumer. So talk about them. Talk about them. Brand as a legal instrument. You can protect. If your brand is not registered, you can't protect your brand. You will not be able to protect your brand if your brand is not legally registered, right? Either as a trademark. Now this is a fake one. This is the right one, right? Sometimes people might, purchase the fake product. You need to look at. You need to look at. You need to look at. So legal brand, you have to trademark එකක් විදිහට වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Registered logo එක විදිහට වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Patent එකක් අරගෙන වෙන්න පුළුවන්. You got to register your brand. You should have some kind of a legal ownership towards the brand. So things are important. Things are important in that way, right? So brand, you can see, we were talking about this anyway. we can see it as a risk reducer. It will reduce the financial risk, the performance risk, physical risk, social risk, psychological risk, time risk, and all these risks can be reduced. Then brand එකක් අපිට risk එක reduce කරන එකක් විදිහට දකින්නත් පුළුවන්. It's another phase. So brand as a positioning. So I will take this bit. I explain this with taking bit of a time. So what do you mean by the positioning? Positioning. මොකක්ද ඔයගොල්ලෝ හිතන්නේ මේ positioning කියන්නේ කියලා? What do you think? Kameshi, what do you think? Positioning කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? What do you understand the term positioning? Nisansala, what do you think? The positioning. මොකද හිතන්නේ? Positioning කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? What do you all think? Dulaj, any idea? What do you all think about the term positioning?
First thing that comes to my mind is in some brand.
I couldn't get you. What?
First thing that come to our mind when see some brand or when listen to some brand.
Very good. Very good. Yes. Yes. So brand positioning is basically placing your brand into the mindset of the consumer, your target market and the target audience. Placing your brand in the mindset of the target market and the target audience that we identified as brand positioning. Brand values we paste in the mindset. So what happened the moment your target market come across the brand, they can recall the memory. So that we identified as the positioning. Okay, so brand positioning is important. Your product might be there physically positioned in the market, but it is not pasted in the mindset of the consumer. Will the consumer pull your brand from supermarket shelves? Will the consumer pull your brand from the market? So to create a pull from the market, one thing you got to do is to have a strong position, which means getting into the mindset of the target market and the target audience. Now, Kikola was doing that. I'm just going back to the same example. When you look at the Kikola, was position their name in the mindset of the consumer, and even people can recall now the way they were positioning, right? Failure just because of the, mechanistic component. But they managed to paste their name into the mindset of the consumer. So the company you have, you're selecting in your assignment, you have to look at, okay, have they done proper positioning of the corporate image, corporate name in the mindset of the consumer, right? Then සමහර කට්ටිය සමහර products එන්නේ කොහෙන්ද කියලා දන්නේ නැහැ. නමුත් product එකේ brand name එක දන්නවා. company එකේ brand name එක දන්නේ නැහැ. corporate name එක දන්නේ නැහැ. corporate image එක ගැන idea ගන්න නැහැ. corporate reputation එක මොකක්ද කියන එක idea ගන්න. So when the corporate image and the identity is strong, remember, අද එක product එකක් කරලා හිට තව product එකක් launch කරනවා නම් just because of the identity and the image you have built over a period for corporate name and the reputation you have built over a period for the corporate name, you can easily go into new markets. You can easily introduce new products to the market, new brands to the market. So why? It has a good positive image. So you got to identify this because it has pasted in the mindset of the consumers positively. So positioning is that getting into the mindset of the consumer with positive values we identified as positioning. Now look at this, the positioning statement of Coca-Cola. Taste the feeling. Taste the feeling. Sometimes you might have the positioning statements, bit of a paragraph, 5-6 line paragraph, perfectly okay. It talks about everything. This Coca-Cola, the taste, the feeling is the positioning, and also that is the essence of the entire brand. You're tasting not the Coke, you're tasting your feelings. Just imagine how they have changed the mindset, how they have tried to get into the consumer's mind with their brand name, right? අර හැමතිස්සෙම positioning platform එක consumer ගේ පැත්තෙන් හිතලිවරලා ඒගොල්ලෝගේ mindset එකට attract කරගන්න දාන්න. So that is what is important when it comes to the positioning. Right? දැන් උදාහරණයක් විදිහට BMW's performance ගැන තමයි Volvo කියලා කියන්නේ safety එක ගැන position කරන්න. You got to identify this. And I mean, when you look at why and how we are going to do, because I mean, when you look at the positioning, guys, we need to identify the unique attributes and the features what your brand is having. So we did the co-competency analysis. We did the Hamel and Prahalab's analysis on the co-competency. Then we identified we have a co-competency where my competitor cannot imitate. And that itself is a resource, and that itself is a value what your brand is having to position in the mindset of the consumer. So you got to identify that. You got to identify that. So identify the value proposition of the brand what you have and bring that value proposition in the mindset of the consumer so that you all can survive. So that is how you need to take a start to position your brand. So you got to identify. I mean, these few points when you are finalizing the positioning statement, right? To whom you serve with your brand. කවුද මේ product එක අපෙන් අරගන්නේ, right? මොන වගේ product එකක්ද අපි offer කරන්නේ? What value we offer with the product? How position you offer? How you position your offer, right? What are the ways you are looking at in positioning, and what is the message you need to communicate in the mindset of the consumer? And what is the purpose of your business? And why customers should come to you and not to your competitor? You have to answer all these questions when you're designing a positioning statement. Why the customer should come to you? Then only with that only you decide the positioning statement, essence of the entire message. And what is your business? What is the purpose you being in the business? Of course, the question will say to make profit. True. Even Unilever is the same, even McDonald's is the same, even KFC is the same, even Kiehl's is the same, every organization to make profit. But from the customer's angle, if you are talking about the brand management, you have to show, right, the purpose behind the existence of the company. Purpose behind the existence of the company like Unilever, they said, okay, to provide comfort and health and the protection for each and every household in the world. So that is the purpose behind. To come with that purpose, you have many products there. You have many products there to come up with that purpose. So you got to identify. අපි දැන් positioning statement එක හදනකොට අපි බලන්න ඕන දේවල් මොනවද මේක. Then you can talk about when you analyze the existing company positions, whom they are trying to serve, right? What value they have offered. I mean, how they position their offers. මොකක්ද ඒගොල්ලෝගේ current positioning එක යන්නේ, right? ඇයි මේ business එක තියෙන්නේ? මේ business එකයි positioning එකයි tagline position එකයි business එකයි වෙනස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම position එක confuse වෙනවා. So what make the different from competitors? So මෙන්න මේ questions ටිකට address කරොත් ඕගොල්ලෝ company එකේ existing positioning එක බලන්න. You have some answers. When you explain it, you can put it in different sub-meanings, right? To whom they offer, they serve. The company serve. Question mark එකක් දාලා brief කරන්න පුළුවන්. What value the company offer to the market? Question mark එකක් දාලා brief කරන්න පුළුවන්. So මේව තමයි we need to look at when we are designing the positioning statement. And another model, the brand positioning, evaluating the brand positioning again by Leslie Chanetani, right? This is another model, another theory model. Guys, look at carefully another theory model. What we have here, you need to analyze the brand by looking at these two parameters. One is the benefit from attributes important to customer. අපි සම්කිසි feature එකක් දානවා නම් ඒ feature එක customer ට කොච්චර වටිනවද? Highද lowද? Highද lowද? ඒ වගේම extent to which the organization emphasize the benefit. මේ benefit එක customer expect කරන benefit එක organization එක පැත්තෙන් emphasize කරනවද product එකට? එහෙනම් ඒක highද lowද? අපි හිතමු I mean whatever the features and the attributes what we have included into our products are very much important to the customer. So which means it's high. And also at the same time, what the customer is expecting, we are emphasizing. So which means that also high. You being a brand always try to hit this quadrant. Your company, your corporate brand should always try to hit in this quadrant. Then ඕගොල්ලෝ select කරගන්න company එක analyze කරලා බලන්න, analyze it and see whether it is a market oriented one, whether it is a myopic approach. Myopic in the sense, okay, you don't emphasize the benefit what the market is expecting, right? Yeah. So whether is it a firm-centered one, okay? So whether you are basically complying the minimum criteria. So බලන්න ඕගොල්ලොන් select කරගන්න company එක මේ parameters දෙක ඇතුළට දාලා කොතනද ඒ company එක තියෙන්නේ කියලා. ඒ company එක මෙතනද තියෙන්නේ කියලා බලන්න. පැහැදිලිද? Another model when you look at brand positioning in your assignment. Any question? Any question? එතකොට මේක අපිට කතා කරන්න පුළුවන් task 1 part 2 වලදී අපිට කතා කරන්න පුළුවන් existing brand positioning. Okay, identify the organization's brand positioning approach. මේක එක model එකක් විතරයි. We'll be discussing some more. මේක එක model එකක් විතරයි. We'll be discussing some more. Any question? එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලන්ට බලන්න පුළුවන් existing company එක මේ model එක ඇඳලා existing company එක දාලා එයා ඒ existing company එක කොතනද ඉන්නේ? With examples you can give, right? With examples you can give. පැහැදිලිද? Anyone is having any question? Anyone is having any question? Part 1 task 1 part 2 වල ඔයගොල්ලන්ට positioning කතා කරනකොට use කරන්න පුළුවන් එක model එකක් මේක. Positioning matrix එක අපි ලබන සතියේ කතා කරනවා. Any question guys? ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තේරෙනවද මේකේ කොච්චර models තියෙනවද කියලා අපිට කතා කර ඉස්සරහට යන්න assignment එක ඇතුළේ. මේ assignment එක ඉවරනකොට ඔයගොල්ලන්ට models එක 15ක් 20ක් විතර කතා වෙනවා. මේ assignment එක ඇතුළේ විතරක්. There will be about 15 to 20 models you will discuss in assignment. And remember, these are the models practically used. That is the other beauty. I mean, Samarala now, since we are consulting certain companies, right? So we are using these models to analyze. Nothing other than that. සමහර මොඩල්ස් අපි ඒ කම්පැනිස් ඇතුළට ගිය ඇතුලේ ඉතින් අපි කම්පැනි එක ඔඩිට් කරනකොට අපි බලනවා මේ මොඩල් එක දාලා බලනවා whether it is okay කොතනද මේ කම්පැනි එක ප්ලොට් වෙන්නේ. ඒකෙන් අපි දන්නවා right okay they are here. Right, you can't just do it overnight, right? You have to dig so much of data into it, right? Then only you can exactly position. So, but these are the models what we are using in real life. These are the models. So look at it. Look at it. සමහර වෙලාවට අපිට හිතෙන්න පුළුවන් no, we are having a market oriented position. But when you dig into the data, you might see, hey, come on, you're just myopic approach. You don't provide the benefit what the customer is expecting, right? You know, or else you don't basically, I mean, talk about whatever the benefit you all have. You know, and you might just firm-centered one, but we think we are a market-oriented brand. When you dig into details, only you realize no, it is not just another brand. Any questions? Any questions? Anyone is having any questions? Nisansala, any questions? Are the models හතරක් විතර කරා. Models විතර මේ දෙකයි කරේ නේ. අනිත් ඒවා theories නේ. Any questions? Nisansala, you have any questions? Samadhi, Kameshi?
No, sir. I'm clear.
You're clear. Assignment එකත් clear නේ. Samadhi?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Kameshi? Dulaj?
All clear, sir.
Clear for me.
Superb. Dulaj, have you done any thing related to marketing, sales, or anything?
No, sir. I completed my bachelor degree last year from University of Sridhar. Other than that, no.
What is which stream you were doing? Bachelor.
Bachelor of Commerce.
Bachelor of Commerce. Okay, you have second year. You have no marketing.
Yes.
Okay. But they don't dig into these type of details because the branding is not a separate one. They talk about under marketing. They have one semester, eh?
Yeah, almost everything is introducing part, I think.
Yeah. Right. No, that is okay. You have some kind of a background, right? So let's look at these tools. I don't want to dump everything at once, so that is why we go low profile. So let's talk about the rest of the tools. Guys, try to do the introduction part and send me if possible by next week. Then I will correct it and we'll finish that now. Stakeholder analysis model we did, and Hamel and Prahalab co-competency model we did, and even this Chanatanis brand positioning one we did. Okay, we did 3 or 4 models today. So ඒවා පාවිච්චි කරලා ඒ ටික කරලා මේ කියන්නේ introduction එකට අදාළ දේවල් ටික කරලා එවන්න, then I will correct it. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So we'll meet up in next Sunday morning, right? So that we can do the next part. Okay, guys. Thank you very much. We'll see you all on next Sunday. Any questions? Any questions? No. Right. We'll meet up in next Sunday. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Sir.